Chapter 36. After walking out of the Dragon Path, he was no longer in the Dragon Gate Gorge, but in a magnificent hall. Why didn't you transform into a dragon after leaping over the Dragon Gate? As soon as he entered the hall, Aoe, who was lying on the main seat, questioned him. Instantly, everyone's eyes turned to look at him. This, Feng Zichin was a little embarrassed. He couldn't possibly say that he didn't like the true dragon's body. Wouldn't he be beaten to death on the spot? He also forgot that those who could walk out of the dragon transformation pool were all true dragons. He came here in his human form, so he was naturally a little eye-catching. After thinking about it, Feng Zichin activated the Ziwei Emperor energy in his body and transformed into a purple divine dragon, surrounded by purple gas. The Ziwei star was the Lord of the Stars, and its starlight had supreme dragon power. Feng Zichin could use this to transform into a true dragon, which was enough to pass off as a real one. Seeing this, Aoe snorted and looked away. Feng Zichin silently came to a corner and looked at the dragons in the hall. For a moment, he was filled with emotions. Compared to the Dragon Clan in the future, the Dragon Clan now was really much stronger. These descendants of the Dragon Clan probably didn't expect that soon. The Dragon Clan would face a great calamity and completely decline. Dijun, who couldn't touch the Eldritch world, turned his attention to the four seas and asked the Dragon Clan to belong to the Demon Clan. As the former overlord of the world, how could the Dragon Clan be willing to submit to others? Naturally, they wouldn't agree to the Demon Clan's request. After that, Dijun was furious and personally led the Demon Clan's experts to attack the Dragon Clan. Without the ancestral dragon, how could the Dragon Clan be a match for the Demon Clan? After a great battle, the Dragon Clan's experts were all killed and injured. Feng Zichin taught the incense flame incarnation technique to the 5 elements sacred beast. In addition to obtaining its protection, he also wanted to see how Dijun would attack the Dragon Clan with the ancestral dragon's incarnation. A few hundred years later, in the 7 Luminaries prefecture of the East Sea, under the escort of 5 primordial unity golden immortals, a huge ship carrying millions of humans arrived at this place and started a new life. In the air, the human elder Yoyu said to Feng Zichin in excitement, "Zichin clan, thank you so much." "Elder, you're exaggerating." Feng Zichin waved his hand and hurriedly said, "I'll have to trouble you to take care of these humans in the future. Compared to that, I'm just talking. It's nothing." The 7 Luminaries province was made up of 7 islands, with a radius of tens of thousands of miles. They were given to Feng Zichin by the Dragon Clan after the Dragon Gate ceremony. After obtaining the 7 Luminaries province, the human population pressure was immediately alleviated. Moreover, this place could be used as an escape route for the human race. After all, the calamities of the primordial world all happened inland. On the other side, Feng Zichin and Yu clan were discussing the future of the humankind. On the other side, there was a huge change in the primordial world. Ever since they obtained the incense incarnation technique, the 5 elements sacred beast sent a voice transmission to the clan and ordered them to build a temple, erect a statue, spread the name of the sacred beast, gather believers from all directions, and gather the incense chi. The 5 elements sacred beast were extremely powerful. Even though they were not as powerful as before, they still had great appeal. Under the Green Dragon Order, the primordial scaled beast clan respected the ancestral dragon statue above the East Sea and was worshipped by countless aquatic race day and night. Under the Vermilion Bird Order, the primordial bird clan respected the southern everlasting volcano. Incense chi surged from all parts of the primordial world like a torrent. Under the Qilin Order, the primordial beasts respected the Qilin Mountain. On the ground, endless incense chi surged towards the Qilin cliff of Kunlun Mountain, causing the eyelids of the 3 pure ones to twitch. In less than 100 years, the ancestral dragon gathered endless incense chi and condensed an incarnation to return to the primordial world. In an instant, the mighty Emperor Qi swept across the primordial world, and the image of thousands of beasts bowing appeared in the world. Countless mighty figures of the primordial world woke up from their seclusion and looked at the East Sea in shock. In the heavenly court, Di Jun's face darkened when he sensed the mighty Emperor Qi. Then, a cry that shook the primordial world was heard, and the vermilion bird reappeared. Before the image of thousands of beasts bowing to the heavens disappeared, the image of hundreds of birds bowing to the phoenix appeared. Before the mighty figures of the primordial world recovered from the shock of the ancestral dragon's return, they felt the vermilion bird's aura filling the primordial world. They could not help but look towards the southern, everlasting volcano. At the Qilin cliff of Kunlun Mountain, the incense Qi changed and turned into the appearance of the Qilin ancestor. When the Qilin ancestor appeared, the primordial world shook, and a primordial 10,000 beasts picture appeared in the world. The three phenomena in the world complemented each other as if they had returned to the ancient times. At this moment, the mighty figures of the primordial world did not look at Kunlun Mountain. Instead, they looked towards the North Sea and the extreme west. The ancestral dragon, the phoenix, and the Qilin appeared one after another. Would the white tiger and the black tortoise, who are also 5 elements sacred beasts, be far away from appearing? Congratulations on returning to the primordial world. Under the Qilin cliff, the 3 pure ones looked at each other and said, "The 3 of you are too polite." The 3 pure ones were transformed from Panga's primordial spirit and were destined saints. The Qilin ancestor did not dare to be arrogant and quickly replied. The return of the 3 clan leaders had a huge impact on the situation of the primordial world. Their attitude would affect the future of the primordial world. Therefore, many mighty figures were thinking about the purpose of their return at this time, including the 3 pure ones. Since you have returned, what plans do you have in the future? Taoist Shangqing was impatient and asked directly, "I only used my incarnation to barely leave the primordial world. What plans can I have?" The Qilin ancestor said with a bitter smile, "The ancestral dragon and the phoenix were also incarnations." Taoist Taiching asked after hearing the Qilin ancestor's explanation. "That's right." The Qilin ancestor nodded. There was no need to hide this matter. Even if he did not say it, many mighty figures would be able to guess it after pondering about it. Then why did only the 3 of you appear? What about the white tiger and the black tortoise? Taoist Yuqing asked curiously. "Soon." The Qilin ancestor smiled and said, "My 3 fellow Taoists! I have been guarding the primordial world for many years and have not returned for a long time. I miss my family very much. Let's part here today. I will visit you another day." Good. Since the Qilin ancestor had said so, even though the 3 pure ones had many questions, they could not persuade him to stay and could only nod. In the blink of an eye, hundreds of years had passed. Just when many mighty figures thought that the white tiger and the black tortoise would not appear, the illusory figures of the white tiger and the black tortoise appeared in the sky, one in the west and the other in the north, covering half of the sky. The white tiger and the black tortoise reappeared in the primordial world. The Qi of Gingjin and the Qi of Kuei water were restless in celebration of their return. In the early ancient times, the black tortoise and the white tiger were few in number. They belonged to the lineage of scales and the lineage of beasts. Therefore, they were not like the clan leaders of the 3 clans who had endless living beings to provide them with the Qi of incense. They were unable to condense their incarnations in a short period of time. Fortunately, the ancestral dragon and the Qilin ancestor did not forget their past friendship and shared their Qi of incense with them to help them condense their incarnations. The return of the 5 elements sacred beasts awakened the ambitions of many schemers. At that moment, there were undercurrents in the primordial world. In the heavenly court, Di Jun gathered thousands of demons. On the ground, the 12 ancestral shamans gathered in the Panga Hall. It was as if a storm was coming. Chapter 37. In the Lingxiao Hall, Di Jun sat on the emperor's throne. The 2 rows of demon gods below him looked majestic and solemn. Your Majesty, now that the ancestral dragon has returned, please reconsider the matter of conquering the 4 seas. After a while, Baizé bowed and said in a deep voice, Your Majesty, please reconsider. With someone taking the lead, the other demon gods quickly followed suit. The demon gods present had grown up listening to the legends of the ancestral dragon. Now that they were going to war with such a supreme expert, they were naturally unwilling. A bunch of trash. So what if the ancestral dragon has returned? It's just an incarnation. How much power can it unleash? Seeing that the demon gods were afraid before the battle, Di Jun was furious. Your Majesty, please calm down. It's not that we're afraid of war. It's that the ancestral dragon has returned and the dragon race's power has increased greatly. It's not good for us to start a war rashly, and it's easy for the witch race to take advantage of us. Therefore, Your Majesty, please reconsider. When the demon gods heard this, they all lowered their heads in shame and stopped talking. Only Baizé's expression did not change as he continued. The witch race is really detestable. After hearing Baizé's words, Di Jun snorted coldly, but his anger subsided. Moreover, Goddess Celestial Empress is pregnant. It's not a good time to start a war. Seeing that Di Jun's anger had subsided, Baizé continued to persuade him. You're right. And the court? As expected, after hearing Baizé's words, Di Jun immediately put on a smile and his anger disappeared. He waved his hand and dismissed the demon gods. In the Panga Hall, the 12 ancestral magi gathered. Di Jiang and the Candle Dragon summoned the river of time and space together, trying to find out the impact of the appearance of the 5 elements sacred beasts on the witch race. The river of time and space was filled with scenes of the war between the witch race and the demon race. Di Jiang and the Candle Dragon were about to take a closer look when the shadow of Mount Buzhou appeared and shook them out of the river of time and space. The demon race? After returning from the river of time and space, they only saw the war between the witch race and the demon race. There were no signs of the 3 races. This has nothing to do with the witch race. Our enemy is still the demon race. Di Jiang and the Candle Dragon looked at each other and said to the ancestral magi, If Hong Jun didn't side with the spirit creatures, those feathered animals would have been destroyed long ago. Zhu Rong snorted coldly and said discontentedly, That's right. How can those spirit creatures ever rival us, Panga's descendants? Last time we had broken the heaven, but Hong Jun suddenly showed up and saved our people. Damn it. Gong Gong cursed as well. Hong Jun is really going too far. How unfair is the heavenly Tao? It only knows how to side with the demons. The group of ancestral sorcerers were in Pangu's hall, scolding Hong Jun furiously. Well, brothers, don't scold him anymore. After all, Hong Jun is a Tao ancestor, the founder of the primordial chaos realm. Scolding him will damage his luck. Seeing that the ancestral sorcerers were getting more and more unpleasant with their words, even scolding the heavenly axiom, a female ancestral sorcerer with a benevolent face advised, Sister Hutu, don't worry. This is Panga's hall. No matter how unpleasant our words are, Hong Jun can't hear it, Zhu Rong said with a smile. Yes, we can't scold him outside, but can't we scold him in Panga's hall? Gong Gong echoed. The female ancestral sorcerer, Hutu, smiled helplessly and didn't say anything. Panga's hall was transformed by Panga's head. It was a world of its own inside, isolated from all probing. Not to mention Hong Jun. Even the heavenly Tao couldn't calculate everything that happened in Panga's hall. Therefore, the 12 ancestral sorcerers had no scruples in Panga's hall. No matter how shocked the untainted land was what the sorcerer and demon tribes planned, and what the powerful figures planned. It had nothing to do with Feng Zichen. He was only a fairy immortal, so he couldn't participate in such a big event. Now he was in the human tribe's ancestral hall, discussing the future of the human tribe with the 3 leaders and elders of the human tribe. After 10,000 years of development, the human tribe's population had increased to a terrifying number. Countless humans were born every moment. The human tribe could be seen everywhere on the East Sea. If not, Feng Zichen wouldn't have transferred some of the human tribe to the 7 Luminaries Prefecture immediately after he got there. It was because the East Sea couldn't bear so many humans. Speaking of which, the reason why the human tribe's population grew so fast was related to Feng Zichen. It was after he passed down the fiend god orthodoxy that the human tribe's population grew explosively. Previously, the postnatal human tribe couldn't cultivate. They only lived for 100 years and returned to the untainted land after experiencing birth, old age, illness, and death. In this way, the newborn human tribe and the dead human tribe reached a delicate balance, and their growth was naturally slow. However, after Feng Zichen passed down the fiend god orthodoxy, the postnatal human tribe embarked on the path of cultivation, and their lifespans increased greatly. Furthermore, there were no ethics or order in the primordial era. Their lifestyle was open, and there were no restrictions on reproduction. In addition, Queen Yua set up a barrier to protect the human tribe, causing the ferocious beasts in the human tribe's territory to retreat and flee. There were no longer any natural threats. As a result, the number of newborns kept increasing while the number of deaths kept decreasing. As a result, the human tribe's population naturally increased. Now, Feng Zichen and the upper echelons of the human tribe were gathered in the ancestral hall to solve this problem. By setting down ethics and principles, even if this problem can't be solved, it can greatly alleviate the human tribe's current predicament. Feng Zichen said confidently, this was something that had been verified in later generations. It could definitely solve the human tribe's current problem. What do you mean? Everyone was puzzled. Set up a marriage ceremony so that people know their mother and father. Let the bloodline be passed down in an orderly manner. There will be traces to follow and roots to rely on. After saying this, Feng Zichen stopped and gave everyone time to think. To put it bluntly, this was the change from a matriarchal society to a patriarchal society. It was inevitable. This is a good idea, but the human tribe has a large population. How can it be implemented? Although everyone agreed with Feng Zichen's idea, they felt that it was too difficult to implement and was somewhat unrealistic. With surnames as tribes, clans as bloodlines, and names as homes, the entire human tribe will be divided into 3 levels. This way, it will be much easier to manage. Feng Zichen had long expected this problem and also thought of a solution. According to his idea, the human tribe would be divided into 9 tribes, which would be ruled by 9 Taijingxian. Each tribe would set up a large branch, which would be ruled by human golden immortals. Each branch would set up a large family, which would be ruled by human mystic immortals. Such a division would be like a country, and it would be much more convenient to manage the human tribe. In later generations, these things were all done by Fuxi. It was his contribution to becoming the heavenly emperor of the human tribe. Now, Feng Zichen had said it in advance. As for whether the heavenly Tao would find trouble with him, Feng Zichen was very sure that it would not. Before Fuxi, the human tribe had lived in the primordial world for hundreds of thousands of years. How could it not give birth to an advanced civilization? Chapter 38. The Swerin drilled wood to make fire, the Cho clan built a nest to live in, and the Z clan made clothes to cover their bodies. The 3 of them were all people with great wisdom. How could they not think of a solution? Taoist Tai Ching preached to the human race, educated all living beings, and opened the chapter of morality. Could it be that he could not enlighten a few people with great wisdom and think of a solution? When the human race traveled the primordial world, the top mighty figures of various paths sent human beings to listen to the Tao. Were they all trash? After listening to so many great Tao, they did not have any inspiration? Feng Zichen did not believe that the human race did not give birth to a brilliant civilization during the age of Magi. If the human race was really ordinary, why would the heavenly Tao choose them as the protagonists of the world? Why would Taoist Tai Ching preach to the human race? In the primordial world, there were races stronger and more talented than the human race. Why did they only take a fancy to the human race? Why did the human race, which had no advantages, receive the favor of the heavenly Tao and the saints? Was it because the human race was born with a Tao body? Stop joking. After obtaining Penga's memories of opening the sky from the chaos bead, Feng Zichen understood that apart from looking like a Tao body, the human race had nothing to do with a Tao body. They did not have any charm of a Tao body. Was it because the human race was weak and easier to control? There were many races stronger than the human race in the primordial world, but there were also many races weaker than the human race. Why did he not choose them? Solo human? To be able to become the protagonists of the world in the future, the human race must have something special that attracted the attention of the heavenly Tao and the saints, allowing them to push the human race to the throne of the protagonist of the world. It was creativity. The harsh living environment, the worries of birth, old age, illness and death, and the pain of hunger and cold. Under all kinds of pressure, the human race erupted with unparalleled creativity. One miracle after another appeared in their hands. With insignificant qualifications, they cut through thorns and endured hardships to establish themselves in the primordial world. How could such a human race not create a brilliant civilization? How could they not attract the attention of the heavenly Tao? Unfortunately, in order to refine the Wu-slaughtering sword, the demons massacred the human race wantonly, causing the human race to almost be exterminated. There was a gap in civilization. That was why there was the 3 emperors' rule of the world and 5 emperors' rule in the future. Therefore, when Feng Zichen spoke of advanced knowledge, he was not worried that the heavenly Tao would find trouble with him. This was an inevitable process of the human race's development, and he was just saying it out loud. Moreover, the heavenly Tao is fair. Why would it punish you for doing something that is beneficial to the heavens and earth? Even if one was not chosen by the heavenly axiom, as long as one did what the heavenly axiom wanted to do, one would become the chosen one. Dividing the tribes wasn't something that could be done overnight. It involved many aspects. They also needed to decide on the family name and decide on the marriage ceremony. This involved many other issues. As a result, the experts of the human race became abnormally busy, and they were overwhelmed with work all day long. In comparison, Feng Zichen was much more relaxed. He was in closed-door cultivation in order to attain the mysterious immortal realm as soon as possible. As all-mouthy king, his words were clear and logical, but his actions were, therefore, after deciding on the general direction, he handed these things over to Swearin and asked them to adjust themselves, while he found an excuse to go into seclusion. In the blink of an eye, 3,000 years had passed. East Sea, Penglai Island, a sudden change occurred. A strange fragrance suddenly bloomed from the depths of Penglai Island, and an extremely strong spiritual light shot into the sky. The sky within 1,000,000 miles of Penglai Island changed color, and auspicious clouds shrouded it. Streaks of immortal light fell from the 9 heavens and turned into rain. Endless creation, Qi spread out and covered the entire Penglai Island. The flowers, trees, insects, fishes, birds, and beasts on the island were all enlightened by the spiritual rain and bowed towards the depths of Penglai Island. At the same time, an extremely majestic voice sounded in the sky above Penglai Island. "Thy name is Xian Qing." As soon as the voice finished speaking, a figure surrounded by immortal light walked out from the depths of Penglai Island. He wore a crown of yin and yang, and was wearing a robe of 9 heavens clear air. He held an immortal seal in his hand and stepped on a 12th grade white lotus. The birth of the connate god-fiend was celebrated by the Tao of the heavens and earth. In an instant, the Tao of the heavens and earth appeared, and countless innate talismans danced in the air. Flowers fell from the sky, and golden lotuses bloomed on the ground. Innate formation patterns appeared in the sky above Penglai Island, blocking all kinds of phenomena and isolating it from the outside world. No one in the Eldritch world noticed the abnormality. It's been thousands of years. He's finally born today. Xianqing, no, Feng Zichen mumbled. This person was Feng Zichen's divine fiend avatar. After thousands of years, Feng Zichen's divine fiend avatar was finally born. He was born with the cultivation of a golden deity and was even given the name Xianqing by the heavenly axiom. When the divine fiend avatar was born, Feng Zichen's original body sensed it. Countless insights about the golden deity stage flowed into his mind. His true spirit trembled and let out a dazzling light. Countless true runes of the great Tao appeared and disappeared on his true spirit, intertwining with the rules of the great Tao and imprinting them on his true spirit. A mysterious Tao light rose from his true spirit and shone in all directions. Under the illumination of the mysterious Tao light, his true spirit was transforming and growing, resonating with the Tao in the void. A mysterious and ethereal Tao rune was emitted from Feng Zichen's body. Suddenly, his true spirit moved and entered the 9 layers of the heavenly axiom, merging with the Xian deity Tao fruit. Feng Zichen had stepped into the Xian deity stage with the help of his divine fiend avatar. After merging with the Xian deity Tao fruit, his true spirit's momentum did not decrease. It crossed the 3 layers of the heavenly axiom and entered the 12th layer of the heavenly axiom. Only then did his true spirit stop. It deduced the Hongmeng stars and the Tao of heaven and earth and imprinted them in the void. Xian, the heavens. Xian deities could keep their promises and communicate with the heavens. After stepping into the Xian deity stage, they could communicate with the heavens and earth. Their every move would be supported by the power of heaven and earth, and their power would multiply. It was very different from the heavenly immortal stage. In the boundless starry sky, the Emperor's star dropped even more chi of origin into the 12th layer of the heavenly axiom. It condensed around Feng Zichen's true spirit and turned into a palace of the Emperor's star that was filled with the true meaning of the great Tao. This palace of the Emperor's star was different from the one in Feng Zichen's sea of consciousness. It seemed to have a real body and emitted rich power of the great Tao. It was not like the palace of the Emperor's star in his sea of consciousness. It was just a projection and only had a trace of the great Tao's charm left. The palace of the Emperor's star was connected to the Emperor's star and was supported by its power. It emitted endless light, suppressing all Tao and destroying all Tao. The true spirit resided in it and was protected by it. It was difficult to be hurt by external forces and unpredictable. When fighting with others, he did not have to worry about his true spirit being damaged or his great Tao being severed. He also did not have to worry about being seen through and falling into a trap. After his clone was born, he did not leave the Penglai immortal island. Instead, he went into seclusion to cultivate. The Penglai immortal island was too far away from Mount Kunlun. There were many demons and ghosts on the way, and it was extremely dangerous. Moreover, the 3 pure ones often traveled in search of the opportunity to become saints. They might not be on Mount Kunlun at this time. It was better to wait until the 3 pure ones became saints and the primordial world stopped fighting. It would be safer to go and acknowledge him as his master. Chapter 39. After making the arrangements for his clone, Feng Zichen did not come out of seclusion. Instead, he took out the supreme treasure of the human race, the flint fire. He planned to use it as a foundation to forge an inherited treasure for the human race. The flint fire, also known as the torch fire, was created by Swearin drilling wood. It was the first fire of the human race, the fire of their civilization, and the fire of their heritage. Its appearance opened up the human race's wisdom and lit up their civilization, allowing them to walk out of their ignorance. It was an indispensable part of the human race, where the light of the human race lay. The torch fire was passed down from generation to generation. Feng Zichen planned to use this as a concept to forge a Swearin lantern to carry the torch fire and make it the inherited treasure of the human race. The lantern was an item that illuminated the world. Forging the Swearin lantern would also illuminate the future of the human race. Then, Feng Zichen took out 2 flints, planning to use them as materials to forge the body of the lantern. These were the 2 merit flints that were created after he invented the method of obtaining fire from flints. They were the most compatible with the flint fire attribute. Throwing the merit flints into the air, Feng Zichen activated the power of heaven and earth. Runes of the great Tao appeared and danced around the merit flints. Then he took out a streak of Hongmeng origin Qi from the Hongmeng Tao seal, a streak of chaos origin Qi from the chaos bead, and a streak of Khanate star origin Qi from the school of the Emperor star. The 3 streaks of origin Qi turned into a raging fire. Using the void as a furnace, they refined the runes of the great Tao into the flints. The shape of the flints changed accordingly, transforming into the shape of a lantern. This refining method was created by Feng Zichen after he studied the Khanate divine restriction. By refining the power of heaven and earth into a spiritual treasure, it would be endlessly powerful and spiritually powerful. The power of heaven and earth was vast and boundless. It was not easy to refine it into a spiritual treasure. If it could be done so easily, this refining method would have been spread throughout the Eldritch wilderness and become the mainstream of the refining lineage. Feng Zichen would not have to discover it. The origin Qi of Hongmeng was the source of all Taos. The origin Qi of chaos was the beginning of all Qi. The origin Qi of the innate stars was the essence of heaven and earth. It was with the power of these 3 that Feng Zichen was able to refine the power of heaven and earth into Feng Zichen and create a spiritual treasure. Otherwise, he would be powerless in the face of the powerful power of heaven and earth. Unfortunately, these 3 Qis were too rare. Only one could be born every tens of thousands of years. The next time he wanted to use this method to refine a spiritual treasure, he would have to wait tens of thousands of years. After the lamp was completed, Feng Zichen turned the faith power of the humans into the lamp oil and placed Exanhua into the lamp. Henceforth, as long as the human race was not exterminated, the flames would not stop burning. After the Swearin lantern was successfully refined, it shone brightly with the radiance of the human Tao. Dense Qi of merit flowed within, forming 40 acquired divine seals. Looking at the Swearin lantern, Feng Zichen was very excited. Although this treasure was only a supreme grade acquired spiritual treasure, the Swearin lantern was connected to the fate of the human race. As the human race grew stronger, it would become a supreme acquired spiritual treasure. The Swearin lantern spun in the air for a moment and turned into a ray of light, completely merging into the fate of the human race and becoming a part of it. The Swearin lantern was not a treasure of a person, but a treasure of an entire race. In the future, as long as the human race had the human race in their hearts, they would be able to connect with the fate of the human race and summon the projection of the Swearin lantern to kill enemies, defend themselves, and comprehend the Tao. The more sincere one's heart was, the stronger the projection of the Swearin lantern would be. After doing all this, Feng Zichen nodded with satisfaction, got up and walked out. After 3,000 years of development, the human race was no longer the same as before. With the ancestral hall as the center, 8 huge cities were built in all directions, controlled by the 8 tribes. These 8 huge cities were all located on the Dragon Vein. Feng Zichen had traveled all over the East Sea and used the purple star's purple star to measure the earth veins. The chi of the dragon vein merged with the fate of the human race, giving birth to 8 kings' chi. Feng Zichen used the 8 kings' chi as the foundation to set up a formation to receive the purple star's chi, strengthening the fate of the human race and giving birth to the emperor's chi. The purple star was the ruler of the stars, and its main destiny was the emperor's chi. Its starlight was the emperor's light, and it had the ability to destroy everything. The dragon vein was the earth vein that received the purple star's chi. Therefore, the dragon chi it gave birth to had the ability to suppress everything. Wherever the purple star went, the stars would follow. When the purple star's chi fell on the human race, the stars would follow suit. At that time, the human race would give birth to many geniuses with star fate, and the strength of the human race would slowly increase. If one was lucky enough to give birth to an emperor's chi, the human race would give birth to an emperor who would lead the human race on the road to prosperity. Standing in front of Zichen's grotto heaven, Feng Zichen's left eye was as bright as the sun, with Fusang swaying faintly. His right eye was as bright as the moon, with Laurel vaguely appearing. As the sun and the moon shone together, he raised his head to look at the human race's ancestral hall. This was the sun-moon divine eye. In the past, when Pangu opened the sky, his body turned into all things. His left eye was the sun, and his right eye was the moon. Feng Zichen's eyes evolved into the shadow of the sun and the moon, which meant that he was transforming into Panga's body. Although there was no difference in the great Tao body, the untainted land was created by Pangu after all. In this world, Panga's body was more favored by the heavens and earth, and it had more fate than other Tao bodies. In Feng Zichen's eyes, above the ancestral hall, there was a ball of Exanhua burning fiercely. This was the incarnation of the human race's fate, the inextinguishable Exanhua. Above him, a purple star was faintly discernible. Strands of starlight hung down. This was the Emperor Star. Around him, 9 young Jiao dragons breathed out pure dragon chi at him. These were the 8 great cities of the human race and the 7 luminaries' province. With the help of these energies, Exanhua's body was constantly transforming into the dragon form. However, due to the lack of energy, he gave up halfway. When Exanhua completely transformed into the dragon form, it would be the time when the human emperor would be born. By then, the human race would be able to occupy a place in the untainted land, and they would be qualified to compete for the throne. Just as Feng Zichen was observing the changes in the human race's fate, another change occurred in the untainted land. First, the sun star burst out with brilliant light. Then, except for the Ziwei star, Zhousing shone brightly, sprinkling endless starlight on the untainted land. The sky was filled with starlight, and the heaven and earth were filled with the rich power of the stars. Countless living beings were enlightened and embarked on the path of cultivation. Some of them were greatly improved in their cultivation and transformed into human form. Such a phenomenon attracted the attention of many mighty figures in the untainted land. They all cast their eyes on the heaven court to see what was happening in the monster race. It caused them to release the restrictions on Zhousing and let the starlight fall. One must know that ever since the monster race established the heaven court, Zhousing had been firmly controlled by the monster race. Even the innate star gods that were born in the stars were either killed or expelled if they dared to resist the monster race. After the monster race took control of Zhousing, they immediately intercepted the starlight. Only a part of the power of the stars flowed to the untainted land. After intercepting the starlight, the monster race refined it into imperial fluid. Every 1,000 years, it would be sprinkled on the untainted land to cultivate the monster race's descendants. Chapter 40. In ancient times, the sun, moon, and stars were extremely resplendent, and endless starlight shone down. At that moment, the power of the stars was like rain on the primordial world, as if it was covered in a layer of blurry starlight. Bathed in endless starlight, in such a unique environment, all living beings in the primordial world gained intelligence. Their cultivation advanced rapidly, and countless immortals were born. However, after the demons grasped Joshing, they sealed the starlight and intercepted the power of the stars, causing the power of the stars that filled the entire primordial world to decrease sharply. The ancient cultivation environment was not reversed. Such actions had severed the path of the great Tao of countless living beings. The demons were powerful. The living beings of the primordial world did not dare to say anything. They could only hide their resentment in their hearts. However, the heavenly Tao was fair. The demons did not care about the living beings of the primordial world and secretly intercepted the power of the stars, cutting off the cultivation path of all living beings. They naturally had endless negative karma. The heavenly Tao recorded all of that and left it for future settlement. The karma with the living beings of the primordial world was huge. When the demons were strong, they had endless luck and could be fearless. However, if the demons declined, how could they repay such karma? After the great Magi demon tribulation, the demons had been unable to recover from the setback. It was also related to that. The heavenly courts were decorated with lanterns and streamers. Jun walked around happily in his bedroom. The Dong Huang Tai, who was at the side, was also smiling. Outside the bedroom, countless demon gods had gathered. They were all smiling and congratulating him. "Congratulations, Your Majesty! The Crown Prince has descended into the world. The sun and stars have moved. This is the sign of the heavens protecting the demons. We congratulate Your Majesty." In the hall, Emperor Jun was even happier after hearing this. He immediately said, "Don't worry about it. Today I have a descendant. This is a joy for the heavenly courts and the demons. I should congratulate the world." At that point, he paused and ordered, "From today onwards, remove the restrictions of Joshing and let it shine on the primordial world for 1,000 years. I will pray for my son." As soon as he finished speaking, the demon gods bowed in unison. "Your Majesty is wise." Seeing how happy Jun was, the Dongwang Tai shook his head and smiled. He did not look like a heavenly emperor at all. He took a step forward and said, "Big brother, now that your nephew has been born, why don't you let me teach him?" Compared to Jun, although Tai's status was lower, his strength was the strongest among the demon clan. Even in the entire untainted world, other than the saints, no one dared to say that they were stronger than Donghuang. Moreover, Tai had always been in charge of training heavenly soldiers in the celestial court. Many of the new generation of demon gods in the celestial court had been taught by him. From this, one could see Tai's ability to nurture his disciples. However, upon hearing Dong Huang Tai's words, Jun, who was in a state of extreme excitement, suddenly froze. After a long while, he said hesitantly, "The child is still young. Let's talk about the future in the future." Tai's ability to teach his subordinates was unquestionable. However, his methods were too cruel. Having seen how Tai trained his subordinates, Jun naturally did not want his newborn child to suffer. Seeing that Tai still wanted to say something, Jun quickly interrupted. "Second brother, since you like children so much, why don't you have one yourself? Which goddess do you fancy? I'll get your sister-in-law to act as a matchmaker. With your status and strength, I don't think anyone can refuse you." However, Dongwang Tai did not buy it. He said with a cold face, "Big brother, don't change the topic. I'm discussing my nephew with you." Without waiting for Jun to reply, a cold female voice sounded. "In that case, I'll leave it to you, little uncle." It was Shiha who had heard the conversation between the two brothers and walked out of the inner room. "Very good." Seeing she had come out, Dong Huang Tai stood up and bade farewell, leaving the place to the couple. "Your Majesty is so muddle-headed. Countless living beings in the untainted world want to be taught by little uncle personally, but you're still hesitating. Why don't you know what to say?" As soon as Dong Huang Tai left, she had complained to Jun, "Why aren't you recuperating in the back? Why did you come out?" Di Jun laughed awkwardly and stepped forward. In order to give birth to the 10 golden crows, Shiha's origin had been greatly damaged and was extremely weak. She could not use even 1% of her strength. This was also because Daluo had proved it forever and did not lose his realm. Otherwise, such consumption of origin would definitely cause him to fall from the quasi-sage level to Daluo Jinxian. That was also the reason why the 10 golden crows, although born from the womb, were all golden immortals and were not inferior to connate god fiends. I am here to talk to your majesty about serious matters. I have lost a lot of my origin and need to return to the lunar star to cultivate in seclusion to make up for the loss of my origin. I'm afraid I can't stay in the heavenly courts. At this point, she has said seriously, during the time that I'm not around, your majesty, please don't start a war with the Magi. Shiha had to seal the lunar star when she went into seclusion. Zhou Xing's array would not be complete, and the demons would not be a match for the Magi. Di Jun nodded solemnly to express his understanding. He even personally escorted Shiha back to the lunar star. After that, Di Jun held the heavenly court's grand meeting in the name of the crown prince and invited the mighty figures of the primordial world. Among them were the 5 elements sacred beasts that had just entered the world. The sudden return of the 5 elements sacred beasts was a blessing or a curse for the heavenly courts. It was a good opportunity to invite them over and test the situation. Feng Zichen was very busy now. He had just come out of seclusion and thought that he would be able to relax for a while. Unexpectedly, Zhou Xing shone brightly and endless starlight shone down. With the help of this, the living beings of the primordial world broke through one after another. Even the human race had 3 golden immortals break through to the Tai Jinxian realm. With the addition of 3 Tai Jinxian, the strength of the human race increased significantly. This was originally a joyous occasion, but the East Ocean was too small. There was no place for them to establish a tribe. Therefore, the 3 of them decided to lead a portion of the human race to migrate out and develop outwards. After all, if they stayed on the East Ocean, when would the human race become stronger? This plan was unanimously agreed to by the human race. They also set up a rule. In the future, if a Tai Jinxian was born, if they wanted to establish a tribe, they had to leave the ancestral land and develop outwards. Now, Feng Zichen was busy with the migration of the human race. While searching for the dragon vein to build a city for the 3 of them, he taught them the purple star divinity. If he did not pass down the purple star divinity, if a Tai Jinxian broke through in the future, he would be exhausted to death by searching for the dragon vein alone. After 100 years, Feng Zichen finally found 3 dragon veins and set the location of the 3 tribes. It's my incompetence that made you risk your lives to open up a path for the human race. You are all heroes of the human race. Looking at the 3 people in front of him, Swearin blamed himself. Emperor Sui, don't blame yourself. You have already done enough for the human race. This is our own choice. For the human race, we are willing to die 100 times without regrets. As he spoke, under the worried gazes of the elders of the human race, the Lei, Yun, and Yu families each led a portion of the human race away from the East Ocean and walked towards the unknown primordial world. Chapter 41. Ever since the Lei family, Yin family, and Yu family led a portion of the human race out of the ancestral land, the atmosphere of the human race had become much gloomier. However, this also stimulated many of the clansmen, forcing them to work hard in their cultivation and strive to become stronger as soon as possible to get rid of the weak human race. On this day, Feng Zichen was cultivating when he suddenly sensed 2 familiar auras rushing towards him. He quickly got up to greet them. Before long, Feng Zichen saw the figures of Ao Shui and Water Dragon King. They did not maintain their dragon forms, but transformed into dragon bodies and rode on clouds. Why do you have the time to come to the human race? Seeing the 2 of them, Feng Zichen asked in confusion. After the ancestral dragon returned, he felt that the strength of the dragon race was much weaker than before. So he preached on the 4 seas and preached the Tao of Daluo to thousands of water clansmen. Water Dragon King, who had the cultivation of Tai Jinxian, should have received the attention of the ancestral dragon and stayed by his side to listen to his preaching. Why would he have the time to come to the human race? As for Ao Shui, after the ancestral dragon returned, he brought her and her brother Ao with him and personally taught them. They should not have come to the human race. It's a letter from the heavenly court inviting His Majesty the ancestral dragon to the heavenly court to participate in the event. His Majesty the ancestral dragon is not interested, so he sent the 2 of us as representatives to the heavenly court to participate in the event. Seeing the confusion in Feng Zichen's eyes, Water Dragon King took out a golden invitation and explained. Then Dragon Lord is... After hearing Water Dragon King's explanation, Feng Zichen was even more confused. You can just go to the heavenly court. Why did you come to the human race? It's His Majesty the ancestral dragon's orders. Before leaving, His Majesty specially asked me to ask if you are willing to go. After explaining, Water Dragon King said with some envy, His Majesty the ancestral dragon is very concerned about you. This is the treatment of a dragon's descendant. How enviable. That's right. Grandfather has been praising you in front of me and my elder brother. He often says things like the Zichen clan of the human race has a limitless future, and no dragon in the entire dragon race can compare to you. Ao Shui said sourly. In the end, she even threatened Feng Zichen like a child. My big brother has secretly told me many times that the next time I see you, I must teach you a lesson. Let's see what's so special about the human Zichen clan. Feng Zichen smiled bitterly and shook his head. It seemed like the creation of the post-celestial divine, Tao, had a huge impact on the ancestral Gragon. However, he was also a little proud. The ancestral dragon was an ancient overlord, and even he was praising him. It could be seen how extraordinary he was. How about it? Are you willing to go to the heavenly court with me? Seeing that Feng Zichen was silent, the Water Dragon King asked, Go, why wouldn't I go? Feng Zichen replied affirmatively. Then he said a little embarrassedly, Dragon Lord, can you wait for me for a while? This trip to the heavenly court will probably take 1,000 years. I have to arrange some matters in the clan. Of course, I will wait for you for 100 years. Water Dragon King nodded in understanding. Thank you. After thanking him, Feng Zichen led the 2 dragons into the guest hall and ran to Zichen's grotto heaven. There was nothing for him to deal with in the human race. This was just an excuse for him to delay time. The heavenly court was the closest place to Zhousing. It was very beneficial to Feng Zichen, so he had to go. However, if he swaggered in like this, he would probably be killed by the demon immortals guarding the gate as soon as he arrived at the southern heaven gate with his Emperor Star power. Therefore, Feng Zichen planned on disguising himself, concealing this purple star stellar power in his body. Arriving at Zichen's grotto heaven, Feng Zichen sat down cross-legged and took out the incense qi that he had accumulated over the years. Since he returned to the human race, he had taken back his divine Tao incarnation and turned it back into a cloud of incense qi. After thinking for a moment, Feng Zichen summoned the swearing lamp and burned it at the incense qi. The torch fire was not blazing. On the contrary, it was just a small flame that emitted a faint glow. However, when the torch fire came into contact with the incense qi, it ignited the entire cloud of incense qi. A single spark could start a prairie fire. Although the torch fire was just a small flame, it was the fire of the human Tao, an inextinguishable fire. There was nothing in the world that could not be burned. Sizzle, sizzle. Under the burning of the torch fire, wisps of 7-colored mist flew out from the incense qi and floated in all directions. The 7-colored mist was illusory and hazy, emitting the feelings of joy, anger, sorrow, fear, love, evil, and desire, triggering all kinds of emotions in Feng Zichen. In an instant, Feng Zichen's thoughts flew in a mess, and his eyes gradually glazed over. At this moment, the Hong Meng Dao seal flickered continuously, waking him up. Coming back to his senses, Feng Zichen broke out in cold sweat. He hurriedly raised the chaos bead and kept the 7-colored mist inside, not daring to let it get close to him again. This 7-colored mist was the qi of the 7 emotions and 6 desires, and it was the most chaotic. As the saying went, the 7 emotions hurt the spirit, and the 6 desires confused the heart. As a matter of fact, Feng Zichen was careless and almost fell in. All sentient beings had the 7 emotions and 6 desires, giving birth to thousands of thoughts, and the incense qi was formed from the thoughts of sentient beings. These thoughts, whether good or evil, blessing or curse, prayer or complaint, no matter good or bad, they were all born from the 7 emotions and 6 desires, and together they formed the incense qi. Therefore, other than the pure faith, the incense qi also contained a large amount of distracting thoughts of sentient beings. Using the incense qi for a long period of time to cultivate would cause one's mind to be unstable, and it would be easy for one to go berserk. This was the reason why the incense qi was said to be poisonous. Feng Zichen originally only planned to purify the incense qi and cultivate a fake yuan shin. He did not expect torch fire to be able to purify the distracting thoughts of sentient beings. This was really an unexpected surprise. A few months later, the distracting thoughts of sentient beings in the incense qi were completely purified by torch fire, leaving only a pure ball of essence floating in the air. This was a crystal-like object. It was filled with a sense of beauty, as if it was the most beautiful thing in the world. It did not have any attributes, but it could be transformed into any attribute. It was really a magical object. Holding it in his hand, Feng Zichen understood its essence. It was formed from the essence of sentient beings. It contained unimaginable power. It could turn the impossible into the possible, distort the rules, and create things out of nothing. As long as there were enough incense crystals, it could create all kinds of postnatal objects, even life. He reached out his hand, and the incense crystal was ignited. Rays of light were emitted from its body, surging into Feng Zichen's psyche ocean, forming an illusory human figure. When the incense crystal was completely burned, the human figure in his psyche ocean had completely solidified. This was the yuan shin that Feng Zichen created with the incense crystals. It had the same aura as him, as if it was cultivated by him. Feng Zichen took out the Nua's blood essence that was forced out from the dragon transformation pool and injected it into the yuan shin. A ray of light of creation flashed, and the yuan shin turned into the shape of a human with a dragon tail, exuding a rich qi of creation, completely covering the power of the Z-Way star. After thinking for a moment, Feng Zichen sealed the heavenly Tao dimension, leaving only a surge of qi of true spirit outside to control the yuan shin. With this, no one would be able to see the connection between him and the Z-Way star. Chapter 42. After doing all this, Feng Zichen calculated the time. He realized that only 20 years had passed, and there were still 80 years left before the 100-year deadline. There was still a lot of time left. He was not in a hurry to come out of seclusion. Instead, he started to familiarize himself with his primordial spirit. After all, Feng Zichen had never had a primordial spirit before, and controlling it was not as easy as controlling a true spirit. Moreover, the primordial spirit was new, and it was not very compatible with the body. It still needed some time to get used to it. 70 years later, Feng Zichen woke up from his meditation. He waved his sleeves, and the incense qi in the void gathered, forming an earth deity clone. This was the new incense qi that had been produced in the past 70 years. Soon, Feng Zichen would be heading to the heavenly court. This trip would take at least 1,000 years, and at most 10,000 years. Leaving behind a clone could not only keep an eye on the human race, but also use it to communicate with the human race, which saved him a lot of trouble. After refining the clone, Feng Zichen did not stay any longer. He got up and walked out. Fellow Taoist, is everything settled? In the guest hall, Water Dragon King asked with a smile as Feng Zichen walked in. Dragon Lord, I've kept you waiting. Now that everything is settled, we can go. Feng Zichen replied apologetically. It's fine. Water Dragon King smiled and did not mind. He woke up Ao Shui, who was sleeping soundly and prepared to leave. After leaving the guest hall, Water Dragon King raised his hand and a flying boat appeared. The flying boat was about 300 feet long, and it was completely white as if it was made of white jade. On the boat, spiritual light shone brightly, and dense connate chi lingered around it. There were even connate runes on it. One could tell at a glance that it was not an ordinary item. This is the Cloud Soaring Boat, a superior grade connate spirit treasure. Seeing the surprise in Feng Zichen's eyes, Water Dragon King explained proudly. The East Sea was extremely far from the heavenly court. Even if Water Dragon King had the cultivation of Tai Jinxian, it would take him thousands of years to reach the heavenly court. Moreover, he had to bring along Feng Zichen and Ao Shui. With this in mind, the ancestral Gragon specially took out the cloud-soaring boat. On the one hand, it was for them to use as a means of transportation. On the other hand, it was to show the prestige of the Dragon Clan. After the three of them boarded the Cloud Ascension vessel, the Water Dragon Monarch activated the Cloud Ascension vessel. Buzz! The Cloud Wave boat swayed for a moment and emitted a green light. The runes on the boat seemed to come alive, and they danced around the boat. Immediately, the cloud-soaring boat turned into a stream of light flying to the center of the wilderness. The boat, the dragon, and the dragon, the dragon, the dragon lord. The dragon, ancient dragon, the dragon king, ancestral dragon. After the end of the ancient times, Panga's power that shrouded Mount Buzhou weakened for some reason. Originally, only Daluo Jinxian could reach the top of Mount Buzhou, but gradually the restrictions were relaxed. First, Tai Jinxian could travel freely. As time passed, even Golden Immortals, Mystic Immortals, and Sky Immortals could enter. After Panga's power weakened to a certain extent, a vast world appeared in the sky above Mount Buzhou. The demon race used this world as the foundation to establish the heavenly court and dominate the wilderness. When they arrived at the top of Mount Buzhou, they looked up and saw auspicious clouds and thousands of rays of light. A grand gate was faintly discernible. That was the southern heavenly gate. Beams of divine light could be seen coming and going. It was very lively. Obviously, many people had already arrived. Speaking of which, Di Jun was the celestial Darch. He commanded Zhouxing and all living things in the wilderness. He invited many mighty figures of the wilderness to attend the gathering. Who dared to refuse? Even those top-notch sage-to-be would send disciples to present gifts even if they did not come themselves. They did not want to offend Di Jun and cause trouble. The heavenly court is on Mount Buzhou. Let's go to the heavenly court to participate in the gathering and see how the demon race is like. Water Dragon King took the lead to walk down the cloud-soaring ship and said with a sour tone, "The dragon race was the former overlord of the wilderness, and the demon race was the current overlord of the wilderness. When they arrived here, the Water Dragon King could not help but compare in his heart. In the end, he realized that the demon race was more powerful than the dragon race in the past. Being provoked, he couldn't help but feel sour in his heart. On the other hand, Ao Shui did not experience the prosperity of the dragon race. He did not feel anything and looked at everything on Mount Buzhou curiously. Feng Zichen smiled and understood. He followed him down the cloud-soaring ship. However, as soon as he stepped on Mount Buzhou, he felt the Hong Meng Dao seal tremble like never before. It wanted to fly out of his sea of consciousness and rush to the depths of Mount Buzhou. At the same time, A sense of urgency came from the Hong Mengdao seal. It kept urging Feng Zichen to walk towards the depths of Mount Buzhou. It was as if something was attracting it. This change caused Feng Zichen's expression to change. He hurriedly stopped and mobilized his spiritual power to suppress the abnormal movement of the primordial seal. No matter what was in the depths of Mount Buzhou, he could not go and take it now. There were many experts here. The slightest abnormality would attract the attention of many people. At that time, it would be hard to say whether it was a blessing or a curse. Zichen, are you okay? Why is your face so ugly? Feng Zichen's abnormality attracted Ao Shue's attention. She asked with concern, I'm fine. This place contains Panga's aura. I can't get used to it now. I'll be fine in a while. The Hong Mengdao seal was Feng Zichen's biggest secret. Of course, he could not tell her the truth. Oh, then you should be careful. This aura is really uncomfortable. Ao Shui did not suspect anything. She already felt uncomfortable on Mount Buzhou, let alone Feng Zichen, who was weaker than her. Water Dragon King, who was walking in front, turned back to look at Feng Zichen. He was not as naive as Ao Shui. He was not so easily fooled. However, he did not say anything. Which cultivator did not have secrets? Those who did not have secrets were destined to die in this dangerous eldritch age. The three of them shone with divine light and flew into the sky. When they arrived at the southern heavenly gate, it was as if they had stepped into another world. The void was filled with dense, innate light, spirit chi. Countless starlight shone down, wrapping the palaces within. It could be said that one had endless opportunities and was blessed with good fortune. This connate, clear spirit chi was the immortal chi of the later generations. After the great witch demon war, the connate chi dissipated and turned into postnatal chi. Only in the heavenly realm, the connate, clear spirit chi was endless. Therefore, gathering the connate, clear spirit chi for cultivation became the mainstream of cultivation in the later generations. This was also the reason why the later generations of immortals yearned for the heavenly realm. After passing through the southern heavenly gate, the magnificence of the heavenly court was beyond doubt. The pavilions and palaces were stacked on top of each other, surrounded by immortal chi. Thousands of golden lights, thousands of auspicious chi, purple chi filled the air, and stars shone brightly. The thousands of palaces in the heavenly court were not built by the demons. They were formed by the heavenly Tao. Therefore, they exuded a myriad of auras. Under the lead of a demon general, the three of them came to a side hall to rest. This was specially prepared for the ancestral Gragon. Unfortunately, the ancestral Gragon did not come. Feng Zichen and the other two benefited. The Magi are the descendants of the Pangu. They enjoy the legacy of the Pangu and are extraordinary. The reason why the demons can compete with them is because they have the backing of this place. In the side hall, Water Dragon King told the two of them about the secrets of the Eldritch Age. Chapter 43. The Heavenly Court is located in the center of the primordial world. It is the place where all living things operate and manage all living things. Zhou luck is on the top, and the luck of 8 directions is gathered below. It is also favored by Mount Buzhou. It is the number 1 sacred ground in the primordial world. It is because the demons occupy this place that they are able to obtain the support of the boundless luck. That is why dozens of demon gods are born one after another to contend against the Magi. Hearing Water Dragon King's words, Feng Zichen's mind was filled with thoughts. Zhou was extremely important to the demons. It was simply their foundation. Therefore, as long as Di Jun did not die, Feng Zichen would not be able to attain the Tao of the stars. After all, as long as the Polaris star did not appear, Di Jun could continue to command the stars in the sky as the Lord of the Sun and receive boundless fortune. If Feng Zichen attained the Tao, it would cause the Emperor star to appear. Zhou would spontaneously move closer to the Emperor Star and withdraw its luck to the Emperor Star. How could Di Jun not be angry when the strength of the demons was greatly reduced? At this point, the demons would definitely kill the Emperor Star at all costs. Even if the saints came, they would not be able to save Feng Zichen in the face of the furious demons. However, after the Magi and demons' calamity, the top experts of the Magi and demons would perish together and fall into a deep sleep. Although top experts like Di Jun should have left behind countless backup plans to ensure that they could return in a short period of time. However, it was not easy to eliminate the top experts of the primordial world. How could the saints let them return so easily? They would definitely set up layers of obstacles to delay their return. It would be best if they never returned. At that time, it would be Feng Zichen's chance to attain the Tao. A few years later, Ao Shui and Water Dragon King went to the Lingxiao Hall to participate in the meeting. Feng Zichen had a problem with his body and stayed in seclusion in the hall. This was not his excuse. There was really something wrong with his body. Ever since he came to the heavenly court, Feng Zichen felt that there was something calling out to him in the boundless starry sky, causing him to feel uneasy. Ao Shui and Water Dragon King noticed his abnormal mood and were worried about his health, so they let him rest here. As for the thing that was calling out to him, Feng Zichen initially thought that it was the North Star, but after thinking about it, he rejected the idea. Within the space of the heavenly Tao, the true spirit was connected to the Emperor Star. If the Emperor Star wanted to call out to him, it could have directly sent down a strand of starlight from the heavenly Tao space. There was no need to go through so much trouble. However, the boundless starry sky was an important place for the demon race and was isolated by the heavens. Without Di Jun's permission, no one was allowed to enter. Even if Feng Zichen wanted to explore the starry sky, he did not have the ability to break through the sky screen. But if he didn't investigate, that thing would keep calling out to Feng Zichen, making it impossible for him to calm down. Just like that, Feng Zichen, who had been in seclusion for several months, couldn't help but come out. He planned to relax in the heaven realm and get rid of his depression. As the center of the primordial world, the heaven realm was huge. It was countless times larger than the major kiliacosm created by the saints. The heavenly court was located in the center of the heaven realm and occupied an extremely small part. Unlike the 33 levels of heaven in the future, the heaven realm had not been affected by the battle between the shamans and demons and had not been destroyed. It was still a whole and was divided into 9 fields. There were 9 fields in the sky, which were called the center and 4 corners. The center was called June Sky, the east was called Song Sky, the northeast was called Change Sky, the north was called Xian Sky, the northwest was called Yu Sky, the west was called Hao Sky, the southwest was called Zhu Sky, the south was called Yen Sky, and the southeast was called Yang Sky. As Di Jun ruled over the Great Sky, the Heavenly Court Conference was held in the Great Sky. Feng Zichen was currently in the Great Sky. After leaving the Heavenly Court, Feng Zichen casually found a direction and began to fly aimlessly. Now that the mighty figures of the primordial world were gathered in the Heavenly Court, who would dare to cause trouble in the heaven realm. Thus, the defenses in the heaven realm were a little lax. Feng Zichen flew in the great sky for many years, and no one came to check. On this day, Feng Zichen, who had been flying for an unknown period of time, suddenly felt the clear spirit qi around him turn into clear spirit qi. Only then did he realize that he had left the central great sky and arrived in the eastern heaven. Back when the demon race established the heavenly court, the demons were led by Di Jun and respected him as the heavenly emperor, who was in charge of the heaven realm. They respected Fuxi as Emperor Shi, who was in charge of the eastern heaven. They respected Tai Yi as the east emperor, who was in charge of the Yang sky in the southeast. They respected Kuan Peng as the demon master, who was in charge of the Xian sky in the north. The eastern heaven was Fuxi's territory. Stopping in his tracks, Feng Zichen sized up his surroundings. Only then did he realize that this was not the heaven realm, but the place where the heaven realm and the great sky intersected. He was delighted. At the place where the 9 heavens intersected, the Khanate chi was chaotic, causing the sky to be unable to cover this place. Thus, there was no sky barrier here, and one could directly face Zhousing. Normally, there would definitely be heavy guards here, and no outsiders would be allowed to take half a step closer. But at this moment, all the demon gods of the heaven realm were heading to the Lingxiao Hall to participate in the banquet. As a result, the heavenly court's defenses were lax, allowing Feng Zichen to barge in by accident. Feng Zichen looked up and saw the starry sea shining brightly with thousands of stars shining on it. 365 stars exploded with dazzling radiance. These 365 stars were not formed by Panga's hair, but by the spirit of Panga's acupoints. They corresponded to the earth's spirit acupoints. Thus, it had supreme power and was the main star of the primordial world. However, in the center of the stars, where the Emperor star was, it was enveloped by endless Khanate Tao patterns, causing the Emperor star to disappear from the starry sky. If not for Feng Zichen being connected to the Emperor star, he would not have been able to discover its existence under the cover of the Khanate Tao patterns. This was the formation set up by Di Jun, isolating the Emperor star in the void. It made it impossible for others to sense the existence of the Emperor star, cutting off the possibility of the Emperor star, Lord being born. In such close contact with Zhousing, the divine apertures in Feng Zichen's body glowed and corresponded to Zhousing. Gods walked out of the divine apertures and bathed in the starlight, producing all kinds of great Tao runes. The call from the starry sky became even stronger. It was like a voice that kept echoing in his mind, urging him to go into the starry sky. Feng Zichen was a little hesitant. The defense of this place was lax. It was not like there was no one guarding it. If he stepped into the starry sky, the demon generals guarding this place would be able to sense that someone had intruded, even if they were blind. At that time, it would be difficult for him to escape, even if he got the treasure. While Feng Zichen was still weighing the pros and cons, the treasure in the starry sky could not wait any longer. Seeing that he had not stepped into the starry sky, it swept up a stream of Khanate star origin chi and flew towards him. Seeing a stream of light flying towards him, Feng Zichen subconsciously caught it. He felt something warm in his hand. Looking down, he saw a pearl wrapped in a stream of innate star origin chi spinning in his hand. Oh no! Seeing this pearl, Feng Zichen realized what had happened. He roared in his heart and turned to run. He did not even have time to check the origin of the pearl. Chapter 44. How dare you? You're courting death. Before Feng Zichen could move, he heard several shouts. At the same time, several beast claws appeared in the void and clawed at him. Sensing the Tai Jinxian aura from the beast claws, Feng Zichen heaved a sigh of relief. Fortunately, all the demon immortals at the level of Daluo Jinxian had gone to the Lingxiao Hall to participate in the banquet. There were only a few Tai Jinxian standing guard here. Feng Zichen hurriedly raised his merit spirit light and turned it into a cauldron to protect himself. Then he fled toward the sky. Making a move against the demon race in the demon race's base camp was truly courting death. Did he really think that the 5 demi-sages, 10 demon immortals, and dozens of Daluo Jinxian were easy to bully? Feng Zichen was fast, but the demon generals were even faster. Several beast claws flashed with sharp light, creating pitch-black cracks in the void. They carried the power of the great Tao and struck the merit spirit light heavily. The merit spirit light was formed by Feng Zichen's merit. It was extremely powerful. It could even block a Daluo Jinxian's attack. How could a mere Tai Jinxian's attack break through it? After the beast claws hit the merit spirit light, strands of Shenhuang Qi fell from the cauldron and flew toward the beast claws, shattering them into pieces. Merit spirit light What a rich merit spirit light. Who is this person? He actually has so much merit spirit light. Demon General Wu Meng said in shock when he saw the cauldron formed by the merit spirit light. That's not important. Not only did he barge into the intersection of the 9 heavens, he even dared to steal the connate star origin energy. Does he think that he can do whatever he wants with the protection of merit? Demon General Li said angrily when he saw Feng Zichen keep the connate star origin energy. That's right. How can an outsider be so presumptuous in the heavenly court? Demon General Zhu Fu sneered. He turned into a black light and appeared in front of Feng Zichen. Tai Jingxian was already in the realm of becoming one with Tao. He possessed the ability to mobilize the power of the great Tao. Every move he made was accompanied by the power of the great Tao, making him extremely powerful. The 3 demon generals guarding this place were all primordial unity golden immortals. On the other hand, even though Feng Zichen had a spirit treasure to protect him, his cultivation was only at the profound immortal realm. On the path of cultivation, the further one progressed, the greater the difference in strength between each realm. Moreover, there was a golden immortal between them. Therefore, no matter how fast Feng Zichen was, in the eyes of the 3 demon generals, he was no different from a tortoise crawling. In just a short moment, he was surrounded by 3 demon generals. Being trapped here, Feng Zichen was not worried at all. His entire body was enveloped by the golden light of virtue, making it impossible to see his face clearly. He stood there quietly. No matter how the 3 demon generals tried, they were unable to break through his defense. Where did this ant get so much merit aura? The 3 demon gods surrounded Feng Zichen for a long time and used all kinds of divine abilities, but they did not cause any ripples on the merit aura at all. They could not help but feel stifled. Damn it! The 3 of us Tai Jingxian joined forces, but we can't do anything to a profound immortal. If news of this gets out, how can we still stand in the heavenly court? A few more great divine abilities were used, but the merit aura did not even shake and blocked them. The more Wu Meng thought about it, the more aggrieved he became. He completely exploded. His body swayed, and he transformed into a fiery red monkey that was 100,000 feet tall. Roar! With a roar, Wu Meng took out a mace that was surrounded by flames. It emitted thousands of rays of light and smashed towards Feng Zichen. Immediately, the space began to tremble as if it could not withstand the power of the mace and was about to shatter. On the mace, the fire was unknown. It emitted an aura that could burn everything. It distorted the void and ignited the laws. Unfortunately, the defense of the merit aura was Daluo's level. No matter how strong Wu Meng's power was, it was only Tai Jingxian, far from Daluo's realm. It could not break through the defense of the merit aura. Tai Jingxian and Daluo Jingxian were only 1 realm apart, but the difference was like heaven and earth. Tai Jingxian could only borrow the power of the great Tao, while Daluo Jingxian was the embodiment of the great Tao. Tai Jingxian's true spirit was immortal and had an endless lifespan, while Daluo Jingxian was immortal and indestructible. The difference between Tai Jingxian and Daluo Jingxian could not be described with words. No matter how strong Tai Jingxian was, they were like ants in Daluo's eyes. Daluo Jingxian's attack could mobilize the power of the past, present, future, and countless spacetime that belonged to him. It was equivalent to countless copies of himself attacking together. How could a primordial unity golden immortal resist such power? After his attack failed, Wu Meng fell into a rage. He fiercely raised his mace and smashed it at Feng Zichen again and again. Wu Meng, calm down. Seeing Wu Meng go crazy, Zhu Fu tried to persuade him. This person has the protection of merit. Ordinary methods will not be able to hurt him. Why don't we join forces and banish him to the void? Let's see how he can escape then. Hearing this, Wu Meng calmed down and panted heavily. Okay, Lily, who had been silent all this time, could not help but praise. This is a wonderful idea. At this moment, Feng Zichen could no longer remain calm. If they really banished him to the void, it would be troublesome if he wanted to come out again. Making up his mind, Feng Zichen planned to use the 5 elements divine light to keep them in the 5 elements realm. After he escaped, he would first remove the 5 qi in their chests. After venting his anger, he would release them. The cultivation of Tai Jingxian was to refine the 5 qi in one's chest and perfect it, reaching the realm of 5 qi unification. Removing the 5 qi in one's chest was equivalent to knocking them down to the Tai Jingxian realm. Just as the 4 of them were accumulating their Dharma powers and about to use their respective methods, suddenly a change occurred. Countless connate Tao patterns appeared and intersected in the void, forming the shape of the connate 8 trigrams and enveloping the 4 of them. The connate 8 trigrams were mysterious and unfathomable. As it circulated, it brought along the power of wind, thunder, water, fire, mountain, and swamp. Facing such power, the 4 of them could not resist at all and were easily suppressed. The commotion here had alarmed Fuxi, who was resting in the Shi Palace. "Greetings, Your Majesty Emperor Shi." Although Fuxi had not appeared, the connate 8 trigrams was his symbol. It was unique in the primordial world. Therefore, when they saw the connate 8 trigrams appear, the 3 demon generals hurriedly bowed. "Rise. This person is related to me. You don't have to bother about him." Accompanied by a lofty voice, a suction force came from the void and took Feng Zichen away. The 3 demons looked at each other and could not help but smile bitterly. This person was related to Emperor Shi. Why didn't he say so earlier? He had caused so much trouble for no reason. Under the guidance of this suction force, Feng Zichen entered an ancient palace, Emperor Shi's palace. "You human, you are really bold. You actually dare to come here to steal the connate star source energy. Do you want to die?" As soon as he landed, Feng Zichen heard Emperor Shi's teasing laughter and could not help but be stunned. In addition to obtaining the connate star source energy, he also obtained a pearl. Emperor Shi did not mention a word about this. Could it be that he did not notice? Thinking of this, Feng Zichen was a little excited. Chapter 45. Who was Fuxi? He was a master of the connate 8 trigrams and was famous for his deduction skills. In the entire primordial world, Fuxi might not even be in the top 10. But in terms of deduction skills, Fuxi was definitely in the top 3. Even the sages would not dare to say that they could beat him in this aspect. Even if Fuxi had not reached the heights he would reach in the future, he had the strength of a late-stage sage-to-be. He was an existence that Feng Zichen could not imagine. But now the pearl had appeared right under his nose, and he had not noticed. Of course, it was partly because Fuxi did not notice it, but to be able to hide it from such an existence, it also showed how extraordinary the pearl was. "Feng Zichen of the human race greets Your Majesty Emperor Shi." Although his mind was in a mess, Feng Zichen still maintained a calm expression and bowed respectfully to Fuxi. At ease. A breeze blew past and lifted Feng Zichen's bent waist, indicating that he had accepted his bow. Looking up, Feng Zichen felt that the light of the great Tao was shining in front of him. It was so bright that he could not look directly at it. Amidst the radiance of the great Tao, a pair of indifferent and distant heavenly eyes appeared. The scene of the birth and death of all things and the change of the great Tao appeared as it quietly looked down at him. Feng Zichen hurriedly lowered his head, not daring to look at it again. This was the light of the great Tao. If one fell into it, they would have the nightmare of Tao dissolving. Since my sister created the human race, this is the first time I've seen a human. Today, I see that the human race is indeed extraordinary. If you completely refine this light of merit, even if you can't become a Daluo, I'm afraid you won't be far away." After a while, Fushi said with emotion, "Your Majesty, you must be joking. How can the cultivation level formed by the power of merit compare to the cultivation level obtained through hard work?" "That's right. No matter how good the merit is, it can only increase one's cultivation level and not one's strength. In the primordial world, strength is the most important thing." Fushi nodded, very satisfied with Feng Zichen's answer. "Thank you for your advice, Your Majesty." Feng Zichen thanked him. Fushi said so much because he was afraid that Meng Qi would use the power of merit to increase his cultivation level and ruin his own cultivation path. The reason why he brought up the matter of merit was to remind him. Feng Zichen naturally wanted to thank him. The qi of merit had endless magical uses. Not only could it be used to refine weapons, it could also be used to increase one's cultivation. However, if one used the qi of virtue to raise their cultivation, they would only have a cultivation realm but not the corresponding strength. Among those in the same cultivation realm, they would be at the bottom. Such a cultivator would be able to defeat someone with a lower cultivation than him. But once he encountered a cultivator of the same cultivation level or a higher cultivation level, he would be powerless to resist. However, there were pros and cons, and vice versa. Cultivators who used the land of virtue to increase their cultivation were also known as true immortals of fortune. His entire life would be free from calamities and disasters, never falling into calamities, not easily killed. All right, the human race and I can be considered to be fated. Since you're here, I'll teach you that innate 8 trigrams Tao, and you'll teach it to the human race, saving me the trouble of having to travel all the way to the human race. Fushi chuckled and said to Feng Zichen, "On behalf of the human race, Feng Zichen thanks Emperor Shi." When Feng Zichen heard that Fushi was going to teach him the innate 8 trigrams, he was extremely excited. The innate 8 trigrams Tao was the Tao of heaven and earth. It explained the principles behind the operation of heaven and earth and contained the wonders of the universe's changes. If the humans were to obtain the innate 8 trigrams inheritance, they would be able to strengthen their foundations and produce a large number of experts. Fushi did not react to Feng Zichen's gratitude. If it weren't for the fact that the human race was created by Nuwa, she wouldn't even look at a postnatal race like the human race, let alone pass down the innate 8 trigrams. After all, he was Emperor Shi of the heavenly court, a top-notch great divine ability, cultivator of the primordial world. Then, Fushi started chanting the incantations of the Tao of the innate 8 trigrams. Taiji gives birth to yin and yang. Yin and yang give birth to the 4 symbols, and the 4 symbols give birth to the 8 trigrams. The 8 trigrams are Qian, Kun, Zhen, Sun, Kenli, Zhen, and Dui, heaven, earth, wind, thunder, water, volcano, and pond. Qian 1, Dui 2, Li 3, Zhen 4, Sun 5, Kun 6, Zhen 7, Kun 8. Heaven and earth are fixed, mountains and lakes are connected, thunder and wind are weak, water and fire do not shoot. The 8 diagrams are wrong. Those who count the past go smoothly. Those who know the future go against it. Therefore, it is easy to count in reverse. Following Fushi's preaching, thousands of Tao patterns appeared in Feng Zichen's sea of consciousness, forming the shape of the 2 elements. As the yin and yang revolved, the power of Tai Yin, Xiao Yin, Tai Yang, and Xiao Yang were born, forming the 4 symbols. In the end, the 4 symbols changed again, forming the power of heaven, earth, wind, lightning, water, fire, mountains, and lakes, forming the innate 8 trigrams. After the birth of the innate 8 trigrams, it explained the principles of the operation of heaven and earth, deduced the wonders of the changes of the universe, and created the scene of the birth and death of all things. In an instant, endless principles of the great Tao surged into Feng Zichen's mind, causing his primordial spirit to undergo all kinds of changes and emit a mysterious light. Now, Feng Zichen's true spirit was locked in the space of the heavenly Tao. Therefore, all the understanding of the great Tao was reflected on his primordial spirit. After obtaining the understanding of the innate 8 trigrams, his primordial spirit with a human body and a dragon tail suddenly twisted and jumped into the innate 8 trigrams. It received the baptism of the wind and thunder of heaven and earth, water and fire, mountain and lake. Within the innate 8 trigrams, it was as if chaos had yet to be divided. Suddenly, a ray of light appeared, cutting through the chaos, giving birth to all kinds of power between heaven and earth, and swept towards Feng Zichen's primordial spirit. Under the tempering of this power, the primordial spirit with a human body and a dragon tail was on the verge of shattering. At this moment, Nua's bloodline in the depths of his primordial spirit sensed the danger of his primordial spirit and trembled. It turned into a ball of creation chi, enveloping his primordial spirit and stabilizing his primordial spirit. Under the influence of the two forces, his primordial spirit gradually shed its acquired chi and transformed into an innate primordial spirit. Strands of innate light rose from his primordial spirit, and all kinds of mysterious runes appeared on his dragon scales. Just like that, an unknown amount of time passed. The primordial spirit with a human body and a dragon tail had completely transformed into an innate body. Feng Zichen also woke up from his enlightenment. The human race will never forget Emperor Shi's kindness in teaching me the Tao. As soon as he woke up, Feng Zichen bowed to Fuxi. Feng Zichen had gained a lot from listening to Fuxi's preaching in the palace. His acquired primordial spirit had completely transformed into an innate primordial spirit. His realm had also risen from mid-stage mystic immortal to perfected mystic immortal. However, his primordial spirit had been sealed, and he still needed to leave the heavenly court to transform. No need for formalities. Fuxi replied indifferently and waved his hand at Feng Zichen. Your fate with me has come to an end. You may leave. Feng Zichen wanted to continue speaking, but he felt a boundless force and then lost consciousness. So powerful! When he woke up again, Feng Zichen realized that he was already in Great Sky's palace. The might of a quasi-sage was truly incredible. He walked around the palace, but he didn't see Ao Shui and Water Dragon King. They hadn't returned yet. The Heavenly Court Grand Assembly took at least 1,000 years, and at most 10,000 years. Only 500 years had passed, so it was normal that they hadn't returned. With that thought, Feng Zichen took out the pearl he had obtained from the starry sky. He wanted to see what kind of treasure this was that it could hide from Fuxi's senses. After imprinting his consciousness on the pearl and obtaining its information, Feng Zichen frowned. Chapter 46. The Star Pearl was a middle-grade connate spiritual treasure. It was made by combining the chaos bead fragments with the heavenly cycle starlight and had 20 connate divine seals. It contained a miniature starry sky that could produce a stream of connate star origin energy every 1,000 years. It could also release the heavenly cycle starlight to weaken one's dermic powers. However, although the Star Pearl was good, as a middle-grade connate spiritual treasure, it was not enough to hide from Fuxi's senses. Confused, Feng Zichen probed the Star Pearl with his divine perception. Inside the Star Pearl, in the center of the vast starry sky, there was a divine tree that took root and draped down strands of star chi. The divine tree was not tall, only about 10,000 feet tall. However, in Feng Zichen's eyes, it was extremely majestic, as if it filled the entire void. The divine tree's roots were extremely developed, taking root in the void as if it was connected to the endless space. One could see streams of pure star chi flowing through the roots to the tree, providing it with nutrients. Among the countless tiny roots, there were 365 huge roots that were particularly eye-catching. From the star chi they absorbed, Feng Zichen sensed the aura of the eldritch star. The divine tree's roots crossed the layers of void and took root in the countless stars of the eldritch star. It absorbed the origin energy from the stars of the eldritch star to strengthen itself. This is the Khanate star tree? Looking at the divine tree, Feng Zichen was pleasantly surprised. This was a supreme-grade Khanate spiritual root. No wonder Fushi could not detect the star pearl. It turned out that the tree was hidden inside. As a supreme-grade Khanate spiritual root, the Khanate star tree's essence was comparable to that of a presage. In addition, the Khanate spiritual root had the ability to isolate itself from the heavens. Unless it was fated, no one could detect it. Although Fushi was strong, he was not as strong as the later generations. Naturally, he could not detect it. He did not expect to gain so much from his visit to the heavenly courts. With this tree, the strength of the human race could be further improved. With that thought, Feng Zichen quickly sat down cross-legged and moved the Khanate star tree into the chaos bead. Then his primordial spirit entered the chaos bead and started refining the Khanate star tree with the help of the chaos chi inside. As long as he did not refine such a treasure, there was no risk of losing it. Therefore, it was better to refine it as soon as possible. Spiritual roots, like the innate star tree, were of extremely high quality. As soon as he took human form, his cultivation base was already at the level of a half-saint, which made him even more talented than the other innate gods. Therefore, supreme-grade Khanate spirit roots were suppressed by the heavenly Tao. Not to mention transforming into a human form. Even gaining sentience was extremely difficult. Throughout the entire untainted world, most of the supreme-grade Khanate spiritual roots that appeared in the world fell into the hands of the top great divine powers of the untainted world. It was refined by him to suppress his own destiny. Only the Khanate Bodhi tree was able to materialize with the help of Taoist Jiayin. This person was Taoist Kundi, one of the 6 sages in the future. From this, it could be seen how heaven-defying the aptitude of an innate spiritual root was. Without sentience, refining the Khanate stellar tree was much easier than refining Khanate numinous treasures. With the help of the chaos chi, Feng Zichen managed to leave his mark on the innate star tree in just 100 years. As the Khanate star tree came under Feng Zichen's control, a memory from the chaos era flowed into Feng Zichen's mind. In the chaos, a terrifying battle broke out. The 3,000 demon gods used all kinds of great Tao techniques and attacked Pangu together. Pangu stood on the chaos green lotus, which emitted a dazzling green light and blocked all the divine techniques. Then he swung his giant axe and hacked at the chaos demon gods. A beam of axe light broke through the chaos, divided the yin and yang, and evolved into all things. Several chaos demon gods were hit by the axe light. Their true spirits collapsed, and their bodies collapsed, fusing into the new world. One of the demon gods that was wrapped in starlight flew out a ball of origin and fell into the starry sky when his body was destroyed. Not long after, the chaos era was created. Pangu transformed into all things, and Zhouxing was born. At this time, the chaos demon god's origin appeared in the starry sky. He took the opportunity to plunder Zhouxing's origin and strengthen himself. He wanted to transform into an innate god and descend into the chaos era. Suddenly, a beam of axe light appeared out of nowhere and slashed into the starry sky. Pangu! A sorrowful roar sounded. The star demon god's consciousness was wiped out. Only a ball of demon god's origin was left, fusing with Zhouxing's origin, turning into a seed and hiding in the starry sky. The scene ended here. After sealing the memories in the depths of his spiritual ocean, Feng Zichen let out a long sigh of relief. Watching a battle at the level of Daliao was a great opportunity accompanied by great danger. The slightest carelessness could lead to Tao destruction. Therefore, Every time Feng Zichen watched a battle at this level, he only took a cursory glance and did not dare to delve too deeply into it. After transmitting the memories of the Chaos Era, the Khanate Star tree shook. Countless inheritances of the Tao of Stars emerged from it and surged towards Feng Zichen. These inheritances included not only the Tao of Zhouxing of the Chaos Era, but also the Tao of Stars of the Star Demon God. For a moment, Feng Zichen was completely attracted by the Tao of Stars and fell into a state of enlightenment. In the blink of an eye, thousands of years had passed. I didn't expect the Khanate Star Tree to be formed by the Star Demon God and Zhouxing's origin. It contains the Tao of Stars. What a pleasant surprise! Waking up from his meditation, Feng Zichen's face was full of joy. After refining the Khanate Star Tree, its various functions and origins automatically appeared in Feng Zichen's mind. The Khanate Star Tree could absorb the endless power of the stars and carry a trace of Zhouxing's luck. Obtaining it could strengthen one's own luck and conceal one's fate. Every 1 yuan hui, 365 starfruits would be born, corresponding to the Chaos Era's main star. As long as one ate the starfruits, they could transform into the star body of the corresponding star and mobilize part of the star's power. Unfortunately, the Khanate Star Tree was only a seedling now. It could not do anything except strengthen one's own luck. Even so, Feng Zichen was still very satisfied, not to mention the value of the supreme grade Khanate spiritual root. Just the inheritance of the Tao of Stars made this trip worth it. Moreover, there were so many more gains. With a wave of his hand, Zichen's sword appeared in his hand. Then he took out the remaining star origin from the star bead after it was devoured by the chaos bead and inserted it into Zichen's sword. After absorbing the star origin, Zichen's sword was further improved. Zhouxing's shadow appeared on the sword, and the Khanate spiritual light shone brighter. Seeing this, Feng Zichen nodded in satisfaction. With the Zhouxing's shadow, Zichen's sword finally had the aura of an emperor's sword. Zichen, are you feeling better? Feng Zichen was about to test the power of Zichen's sword when Ao Shui's voice came from outside the hall, which made him stop what he was doing. He got up and walked out. I've been in seclusion for a while. I've made some gains. I'm fine now. Feng Zichen replied as he came to Ao Shui. Wow, you've broken through? How did you do it so quickly? Ao Shui was surprised to see that not only had Feng Zichen recovered, but his cultivation had also improved. Chapter 47. Hearing Ao Shui's words, the Water Dragon King behind her also looked at Feng Zichen curiously. When they went to the Heavenly Court Conference, Feng Zichen was only at the mid-stage of the mystic immortal realm. He had only left for 1,000 years, and he had reached the mystic immortal realm. Such a cultivation speed was truly astonishing. No wonder Ao Shui and the others were shocked. It was a coincidence. Feng Zichen smiled and briefly recounted what had happened when he was listening to the sermon in the imperial palace of Xi. Fuxi had taken the initiative to teach him the Khanate 8 trigrams. He didn't learn it secretly, so there was no need to hide it. Moreover, if he said this appropriately, he could find himself a big backer. Why not? An existence like Fuxi could calculate 1,000 miles with a single step. If he passed the Khanate 8 trigrams to Feng Zichen, how could he not calculate the consequences of this action? However, since Fuxi didn't ask Feng Zichen to keep it a secret, it meant that he tacitly agreed that Feng Zichen was borrowing his name. As long as Feng Zichen didn't go overboard, Fuxi probably wouldn't care. Your luck is too good. You can run into Emperor Xi just by going out. That's the top great divine ability of the primordial world. One of the rulers of the heavenly court. Ao Shui was shocked, but she was also happy for Feng Zichen. After being in the heavenly court for so long, even if Ao Shui didn't know anything, under the influence of what she saw and heard. She also understood the division of power in the heavenly court. Naturally, she knew how powerful emperor she was. Congratulations, fellow Taoist. You have gained the favor of Emperor Shi. Your future is limitless. Water Dragon King went forward to congratulate him. As he spoke, Water Dragon King looked at Feng Zichen with jealousy. When he was in the dragon race, he was favored by the ancestral dragon. When he came to the heavenly court, he was favored by Emperor Shi. It was really infuriating to compare oneself to others. Fortunately, he was able to cultivate to the Tai Jinxian realm. No matter how strong one was, one's state of mind had to be like still water without ripples. Therefore, although Water Dragon King was jealous, he adjusted his emotions after a moment. He once again fell into a state of tranquility. Tai Jinxian realm was one with the Tao, not chaotic in the heart, not trapped by emotions, not afraid of the future, not thinking of the past, not stagnant in material things, not perplexed by the heart, thinking and perplexed, acting and unruly. If a Tai Jinxian master was easily irritable and easily suddenly happy and suddenly, it was difficult to control state of mind. That meant that he had been bewitched by the tribulation aura and had fallen deep into the tribulation. He was not far from death. Dragon Lord, you must be joking. Emperor, she was only able to pass down the way of the innate 8 trigrams because of the Holy Mother. I just happened to be there. I can't be considered Emperor, she's favor. Emperor, she's Emperor. SSSS Emperor. S Emperors, Emperors, Emperor, Emperor, God. Taoist fellow is. Water Dragon King chuckled. He didn't believe it. If it was really for the sake of Nuwa, the human race had been born for so many years. Why didn't they pass it earlier or later? Why did they only pass it down now? However, since Feng Zichen had said so, Water Dragon King naturally couldn't say anything. Zichen, what do you think this is? Ao Shui took out a hairpin surrounded by starlight and waved it in front of Feng Zichen. This is a connate spirit treasure? Feng Zichen was a little confused. He didn't remember Ao Shui having such a spirit treasure. That's right, this is the flowing light hairpin. It was born in the boundless starry sky and is a mid-grade connate spirit treasure. As it is waved, the flowing light follows. How is it? Does it look good? With that, Ao Shui waved the flowing light hairpin, and thousands of stars appeared. Like shooting stars, they dragged their tails and circled around the flowing light hairpin. It looks good. Feng Zichen replied speechlessly. A rich family was indeed a rich family. They were different from the poor. For a poor person like Feng Zichen, when he obtained a connate spirit treasure, he would pay attention to the function and power of the spirit treasure. However, Ao Shui didn't pay attention to the function or power of the connate spirit treasure. She judged it based on its beauty and ugliness. It couldn't be compared. It really couldn't be compared. This is the gift that the Heavenly Emperor gave me when I met him in the Lingshao Hall. After showing off the flowing light hairpin for a while, Ao Shui remembered to explain the origin of this spirit treasure to Feng Zichen. Ao Shui was the granddaughter of the ancestral dragon and represented him. Naturally, Di Jun had to meet her personally to show the demon race's etiquette. At the same time, the ancestral dragon didn't come himself and sent Ao Shui. It was to show that he had no intention of participating in the battle between the Magi and the demons. He was only willing to guard the 4 seas and let Di Jun be at ease. Di Jun naturally understood this. Although he had lost the 4 seas, he had also ensured that the dragon race wouldn't side with the Magi. While he was in a good mood, he casually gave Ao Shui some small toys. That's right, small toys. Connate spirit treasures, like the flowing light hairpin, could only be considered small toys to the demons who controlled the entire heaven realm and the boundless starry sky. As the center of the primordial universe, the heaven realm gathered the luck of the 8 directions and boundless creation. Even though it couldn't be compared to the entire primordial world, there were countless rare treasures in it. The boundless starry sky was where Zhouxing gathered. Under the illumination of Zhouxing, the number of creation could be imagined. Needless to say, the 365 main stars of the primordial world all had connate spirit treasures. Think about it. Dijun, who had such a treasure land, wouldn't care about a middle-grade connate spirit treasure. Fellow Taoist, today's heavenly court meeting has ended. We should leave. After Ao Shui and Feng Zichen played for a while, the Water Dragon King spoke up. We're leaving now. I haven't had enough fun? Ao Shui had been in the Dragon Palace since she was young, apart from living in the human race for a period of time. It was not easy for her to come out. Of course, she did not want to go back so early. Princess, don't mess around. I still have to report what I saw in the heavenly courts to the Dragon Emperor. I can't delay. Oh, all right then. Hearing that her father was involved, Ao Shui did not dare to say anything else. On the other hand, Feng Zichen thought of the change in the Hongmengdao seal when he stepped onto Mount Buzhou. He decided to stay here and investigate Mount Buzhou. In that case, Dragon Lord and Ao Shui can go back first. I want to go to Mount Buzhou to pay my respects to God Pangu. Feng Zichen smiled and said to the Water Dragon King, Fellow Taoist, are you not going back with us? This place is far away from the human race. With your speed, I'm afraid it will take you more than 10,000 years to return to the human race. The Water Dragon King looked at Feng Zichen in confusion. No, since I've come to the heavenly courts, I'll regret it for the rest of my life if I don't go to Mount Buzhou. As for returning to the human race, I can take this opportunity to travel the primordial world and increase my experience. Feng Zichen thought for a while and replied, Since fellow Taoist insists, I won't persuade you any more. Although he did not understand Feng Zichen's thoughts, Water Dragon King knew that it was useless to persuade him, so he did not say anything else. Zichen, the primordial world is so dangerous. It's too dangerous for you to go back alone. It's better to go back with us. Anyway, Mount Buzhou is there. It won't run away. It won't be too late to come back when your realm is higher. Ao Shui persuaded with a worried expression. Chapter 48. Don't worry. I have the merit spirit aura to protect me. Even if a golden immortal of the great, all-embracing heaven comes, I can still hold my own. Feng Zichen said to Ao Shui as the merit spirit aura rose. All right then. Remember to inform me when you return to the human race so that I can rest assured. Ao Shui replied reluctantly. She knew about the defensive power of the light of merit. This kind of ability that was completely condensed from the chi of merit could be said to be the most extravagant ability in the Eldritch world. Its power was naturally extraordinary. Fellow cultivator, farewell. In front of the southern heavenly gate, Feng Zichen waved goodbye to the Water Dragon King and Ao Shui before walking towards Mount Buzhou. Buzz! Just like last time, the moment Feng Zichen stepped onto Mount Buzhou, the Hongmengdao seal started to vibrate violently. If not for the fact that he had completely refined the Hongmengdao seal, he would have flown straight into the depths of Mount Buzhou. After suppressing the trembling of the Hongmengdao seal, Feng Zichen did not immediately head towards the depths of Mount Buzhou. Instead, he walked around the periphery of Mount Buzhou. The Heavenly Court Conference had just ended, and people were coming and going at the southern Heavenly Gate. As a mystic immortal, he could not guarantee that he would not attract attention if he rushed into the depths of Mount Buzhou. It was better for him to wander around the periphery for a few decades. After all, it was always better to be careful. Mount Buzhou was known as the Eldritch Pillar of the Eldritch world. It was formed from the spine of the Pangu. From afar, its vastness and height could not be seen. It was indeed the number one sacred ground in the Eldritch world. Divine light flashed in the mountain, and there were endless creations and spiritual herbs. It could be said that there were fortuitous opportunities everywhere. The mountain exuded an ancient aura and a faint divine aura. This was the divine aura of the Pangu. Since the creation of the Eldritch world, the Pangu's divine aura on Mount Bujo had become thinner and thinner. Now, there was only a trace of it left. Otherwise, how could Mount Bujo be broken by Gong Gong during the Great War of the Great Magi-Demon Dynasty? In ancient times, only Daluo Jinxian could approach Mount Bujo, and only quasi-saints could climb Mount Bujo. Such a great power, how could Gong Gong ever break it? Walking on Mount Bujo, he could feel Panga's aura permeating the air. Feng Zichen only felt that the impetuousness in his heart had disappeared, and he became calm and steady. This was not his first time sensing Panga's aura, but his third time. When he was on the Three Immortal Island, he had obtained part of Panga's memories of splitting open the heavens. The original 12 heaven-splitting axes were still hidden deep within his sea of consciousness. Then, not long ago, from the innate star tree, he once again saw Panga's axe light. Now, on Mount Bujo, he sensed Panga's aura for the third time. However, this time was different from the previous two. In the previous two memories, what Feng Zichen sensed from Pangu was the spirit of seeking the Tao. At that time, Pangu was a devout Tao seeker. He did not create the world to create all living beings, but to pry into the true meaning of the great Tao and prove the Tao eternal. Pangu's aura on Mount Bujo was different. It was a majestic aura that contained the love for all living beings. It was magnanimous. Immersed in Panga's aura, Feng Zichen seemed to have merged with Mount Bujo. An inexplicable Tao rune appeared in his perception. In his sea of consciousness, the Hongmeng Tao seal bloomed with a bright light. It increased Feng Zichen's comprehension, deepened his connection with Mount Bujo, and helped him comprehend the Tao rune. In that Tao rune, Feng Zichen felt a power that could suppress everything. The primordial world of the universe, the past, the future, the known, the unknown, were all suppressed without exception. As Feng Zichen's connection with Mount Bujo deepened, in his sea of consciousness, a phantom of Mount Bujo slowly appeared, emitting an aura that could suppress everything. It echoed with Mount Bujo from afar. At that moment, Feng Zichen understood the true role of Mount Bujo and the truth behind the collapse of Mount Bujo in the future. Mount Bujo stood in the center of the primordial world. It did not just support the sky and suppress the earth. It also suppressed the space-time of the entire primordial world, causing the primordial world to be the only one. The river of space-time flowed endlessly and never flowed backward. In other words, it was precisely because of the existence of Mount Bujo that Daluo Jinxian's strongest method, changing the past, was useless. Under its suppression, the space-time of the primordial world stabilized and slowly moved forward. It made Daluo Jinxian unable to reverse the flow of time and change the past. The Daluo meant that all space-time was eternal. The Golden Immortal meant that all space-time was indestructible. The Daluo Jinxian was an immortal who was unfettered and indestructible in all space-time. The Daluo Jinxian could see through everything. The boundless world could see the past, present, and future with his eyes. He could gather and disperse. He could not be worn down by all tribulations. He could transcend fate and travel through space-time. He existed with the heavens and the Tao. In front of the Daluo Jinxian, space-time was like a toy that they could play with. The past and the future had no secrets in their eyes. They could change them at will. If there was no Mount Bujo, the primordial world would be in chaos. Today you were dissatisfied with this history and changed it. Tomorrow you were dissatisfied with that history and changed it. The entire primordial world was in a mess. At that moment, Feng Zichen found the answer to his doubts for many years. Since the Daluo Jinxian was so strong, wouldn't the existence of the first Daluo Jinxian be invincible? His power covered countless space-time. Why didn't he change history and make the primordial world the only Daluo Jinxian? In the past, Feng Zichen did not understand. Now he understood. It was not that he was unwilling, but that he could not. He could vaguely see a towering divine mountain in the center of the river of space-time. It made the past irreversible and unchangeable. Therefore, although the existence of Mount Buzhou was beneficial to all living beings in the primordial world, it restricted the Daluo Jinxian and prevented him from unleashing his full strength. As a result, it naturally caused the dissatisfaction of the Daluo Jinxian in the primordial world. It would bury a hidden danger for the collapse of Mount Buzhou in the future. Gong Gong hitting Mount Buzhou was just a catalyst. There must be more masterminds behind it. However, that had nothing to do with the current Feng Zichen. He was immersed in the excitement of obtaining a new mystical ability. The Buzhou seal was obtained by Feng Zichen after he comprehended the Tao runes of Mount Buzhou. Its final achievement was to suppress everything in the world like Mount Buzhou. After coming back to his senses, Feng Zichen calculated with his fingers and realized that this series of changes had only happened in an instant. From the moment he began to comprehend the Tao runes of Mount Buzhou to the end, it had only been the blink of an eye. How wonderful! After sighing, Feng Zichen began to stroll around the periphery of Mount Buzhou. From the end of the ancient times until today, countless people had come to Mount Buzhou to search for treasures. No matter how many creations there were on Mount Buzhou, they could not withstand such consumption. Now, apart from the connate treasures hidden in the depths of Mount Buzhou, there were not many things in the periphery. With Feng Zichen's powerful luck, he had wandered around the periphery of Mount Buzhou for decades. He had only found some connate spirit herbs and connate spirit materials. There was nothing else. That day, after Feng Zichen plucked a connate jade Ganoderma, he felt that it was about time. His figure flashed, and he used his mystical ability to fly and hide. He hid in the void and hid his figure. Then he followed the guidance of the Hongmeng Dao seal and walked towards the depths of Mount Buzhou. Chapter 49. According to the guidance of the Hongmeng Dao seal, Feng Zichen circled around Mount Buzhou. After a few years, he arrived at a place shrouded in fog. Before Feng Zichen could do anything, the Hongmeng Dao seal automatically appeared in front of him. It released rays of purple divine light and landed on the fog-shrouded place. As if it had met its natural enemy, the fog melted like snow under the purple divine light and disappeared without a trace. A valley filled with murderous aura was revealed. In the valley, strange rocks were rugged and weeds grew everywhere. It was a desolate scene. Wisps of connate murderous aura emerged from the ground and floated in the valley. Looking at the desolate valley in front of him, Feng Zichen was puzzled. He couldn't help but stop in his tracks. This was Mount Buzhou, formed by the spine of Pengu. It was the most sacred place in the primordial world. Why would there be murderous aura? And it was the connate murderous aura that the chaos fiend god carried? After pondering for a moment, Feng Zichen couldn't think of an answer. He decided to investigate the valley. Then he raised his merit spiritual light and walked into the valley with the Hongmeng Dao seal. As if sensing an unfamiliar aura, Feng Zichen stepped into the valley. The connate murderous aura that permeated the valley suddenly became restless and swept towards him. With a slight tremble, the Hongmeng Dao seal lowered a hazy purple light and enveloped Feng Zichen. This was the Hongmeng Dao light. It was the light of origin and the light of the great Tao. It could derive and destroy all dharma. Before the connate murderous aura could reach Feng Zichen, it was blocked by the Hongmeng Dao light. As the two of them were entangled, a sizzling sound was heard. The connate murderous aura was destroyed by the Hongmeng Dao light. As Feng Zichen continued to go deeper, the connate murderous aura in the valley continued to attack him. More and more of it gathered as if there was no end to it. Under such circumstances, even though Feng Zichen had the protection of Hongming's Dao light, he still found it difficult to move. It was like a small boat in the ocean, in danger of capsizing at any moment, being overturned by the huge waves and sinking into the sea. Feng Zichen's heart trembled as he watched the Hongming's Dao light tremble under the attack of the Khanate baleful aura. He immediately took a few steps back, intending to leave this place first. Once he thought of a foolproof plan, he would return to this place to investigate. However, just as Feng Zichen retreated, a rock under his feet suddenly exploded. It turned into a thick stream of innate murderous qi and attacked him from the ground. Then the explosion of the stones seemed to have set off a chain reaction. The pebbles and weeds in the valley exploded one by one, turning into thick Khanate malice qi that attacked Feng Zichen from all directions. As it turned out, these stones and weeds had been infected by the innate baleful qi day and night and had long since merged with it. Today, after being stimulated by external forces, they exploded one by one, resulting in the current situation that Feng Zichen was facing. Again, the Hongming's Dao light flashed and destroyed the Khanate malice qi that came from the ground. However, before Feng Zichen could heave a sigh of relief, he saw countless streams of Khanate malice qi attacking him from all directions, and he couldn't help but groan in his heart. At this moment, the Hongmeng Dao seal seemed to have been angered by the Khanate malice qi and exploded with unprecedented light. Hongming's qi spewed out, creating countless Dao runes that covered the entire valley. It formed a scene that looked like before heaven and earth were created and before Hongmeng was formed. Under the shroud of Hongming's qi, the Khanate malice qi that was extremely arrogant a moment ago was now completely powerless to fight back. In just a moment, it was devoured and assimilated by the Hongming's qi. After the Khanate malice qi was completely devoured, the Hongmeng Dao seal spun, and the Hongming's qi that enveloped the entire valley began to shrink. In the blink of an eye, it shrank into a ball and returned to the Hongmeng Dao seal's body. As the Khanate malice qi disappeared, the true appearance of the valley was finally revealed. Empty, a vast expanse of emptiness. The gravel and weeds were all gone, and even the Khanate malice qi did not exist. Only the pitch-black mountain was left exposed. This valley had been completely corroded by the Khanate malice qi. Its black color was exactly the same as the Khanate malice qi. On top of the mountain, new Khanate malice qi was born. Reaching out to touch the ground, Feng Zichen felt a wisp of Khanate malice qi rising from the ground and flowing through his index finger into his sea of consciousness, trying to destroy his rationality. Quickly retracting his finger, Feng Zichen activated the Hongming's qi in his body to refine the Khanate malice qi that had entered his body. Oh my god! This Khanate malice qi is so strong that it can even corrode Mount Buzhou. Just now, Feng Zichen was certain that Mount Buzhou had been completely transformed into a malice stone and had become the carrier of the Khanate malice qi. Mount Buzhou was the backbone of the Pangu. Even if it was not as powerful as before, its great Tao was still there, and it was not something that a golden immortal could destroy. Only the Tai Jingxian could leave traces on Mount Buzhou. Even if the Daluo Jingxian came, it would take a lot of effort to destroy such a large mountain like this valley. The fact that the Khanate malice qi could corrode it to such an extent showed how powerful it was. Just as Feng Zichen was lamenting, the Hongmeng Dao seal paused and glowed slightly, urging him to rush into the depths of the valley. What kind of treasure is there in the depths of Mount Buzhou that attracted the Hongmeng Dao seal so much? Ever since he stepped onto Mount Buzhou, the Hongmeng Dao seal had been unusually active, constantly urging him to go into the depths of Mount Buzhou. Its eagerness was completely different from its cold attitude in the past. Feng Zichen could not help but be curious. Immediately, Feng Zichen released the suppression on the Hongmeng Dao seal and allowed it to fly into the depths of the valley, while he followed it. He wanted to see what kind of treasure it was that made the Hongmeng Dao seal so anxious. The area of the valley was larger than Feng Zichen had imagined. He thought that after walking so far with the Khanate Malice Chi, he was already close to the depths of the valley. He did not expect that he was only at the periphery. After a few days, Feng Zichen finally arrived at the deepest part of the valley, where Cliff was. At the bottom of the cliff, there was a deep cave entrance, and thick Khanate Malice Chi spewed out from it. Huge cracks started from the cave entrance and spread in all directions, covering more than half of the valley. Wisps of Khanate Malice Chi rose from it. This was the deepest part of the valley, and it was also the source of the Khanate Malice Chi. Looking at the Khanate Malice Chi that had almost turned into liquid, Feng Zichen stood at the cave entrance and hesitated for a moment. In the end, under the constant urging of the Hong Meng Dao seal, he gritted his teeth and rushed in. The Hong Meng Dao seal was his natal Dharma treasure, and it was bound to him for good or ill. It would definitely not harm him. Since it dared to let him rush in, it could guarantee his safety. As expected, the Hong Meng Dao seal released a layer of wave-like light, turning Feng Zichen into an illusory form and passing through the Khanate Malice Chi. He flew into the depths of the cave. 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 10 years, the length of the cave exceeded Feng Zichen's imagination. It was only after more than 100 years that he saw a ray of bright light. The moment he saw this ray of light, the 13 sky splitting axes in the depths of Feng Zichen's memory suddenly trembled. It was as if it wanted to walk out of the past and step into the present. Chapter 50. It was the light that could split the heavens and earth apart. It was the light of the axe that Pango had swung. Feng Zichen's vision turned black and he fainted. 13 streaks of axe light had broken through the seal that he had set and appeared in his sea of consciousness. Feng Zichen could not withstand the power of the axe light and fell into a coma. The Taoist rhymes of the axe light were extremely terrifying. Feng Zichen was only in the mystic immortal realm, and he could not even withstand one, let alone 13 streaks of axe light. If he had not fallen into a coma in time, he would have died under the Taoist rhymes of the axe light. After Feng Zichen fell into a coma, the Hong Meng Dao seal did not stop. It brought him past the axe light, through the layers of void, and arrived at a mysterious place. At this time, the axe light gradually calmed down and returned to the depths of his sea of consciousness. It was sealed by the chaos bead. My head hurts. After an unknown period of time, Feng Zichen was awakened by a sharp pain. He could not help but rub his head and complain. Where is this? After waking up, Feng Zichen realized that he was in a cave. The cave was extremely spacious. There were stalactites of different lengths hanging down from the ceiling, and water droplets were condensed. Divine light lingered below, and there were endless creations. There were also strands of chaotic vital energy in the air. The Hong Meng Dao seal shone slightly, and it reflected what he had experienced after he fell into a coma. It made Feng Zichen understand the cause and effect. This is the belly of Mount Buzhou. After looking through the images that the Hong Meng Dao seal had shown, Feng Zichen was extremely shocked. He did not know the origin of the cave in the Fiend Valley. The Hong Meng Dao seal followed the passage down and actually came to the belly of Mount Buzhou. It was really unbelievable. Then, Feng Zichen was overjoyed. This was the belly of Mount Buzhou, the place where endless creations gathered. There must be treasures that were born here. With this in mind, Feng Zichen hurriedly looked around. After a few steps, he saw a jade pool made of white jade, filled with a milky white liquid. Fortune Origin Liquid. Recognizing the origin of the milky white liquid, Feng Zichen exclaimed and hurriedly ran over. Although the white jade pool was only 3 feet in size, it contained an enormous amount of space. The amount of creation origin liquid inside was simply endless. The fortune origin liquid was formed from the essence of the earth. It contained boundless vitality and could revive the dead. If a postnatal living being consumed the fortune origin liquid for a long period of time, they would be able to transform into a sentient living being without the need to cultivate. Such supreme treasures were rare even in the great, desolate Aeon. Unexpectedly, there were so many here. Drip, drip. Drops of milky white liquid dripped from the stalactites and gathered at the jade pool. That's right. Mount Bujo is the #1 divine mountain in the primeval age, where the ancestral veins of the primeval age are located. It's not surprising that the creation origin liquid was born. Seeing this scene, Feng Zichen shook his head, as if lamenting that he was making a fuss over nothing. Then he took out the chaos bead and kept the pool of creation origin liquid. The white jade pool was formed by the chi of the earth vein and was specially used to hold the creation origin liquid. Unless the entire earth vein was extracted, it could not be taken away. He did not have that ability. After putting away the creation origin liquid, Feng Zichen began to search around the underground cavern again. The fact that he found a supreme treasure like the creation origin liquid so easily gave him great encouragement, thinking that there were treasures everywhere. Unfortunately, he was disappointed. For several days, Feng Zichen did not find anything. It was as if all the treasures here were avoiding him. Seeing this, Feng Zichen seemed to have understood something. He understood that he was not lucky enough and could only obtain the creation origin liquid. The rest of the numinous treasures were not fated with him. After understanding this, Feng Zichen stopped searching for treasures and found an empty space to sit down cross-legged. This place was mysterious and mysterious. He planned to cultivate in seclusion for a while and leave after breaking through to the golden immortal realm. However, Feng Zichen had just sat down. The Hong Meng Dao seal, which had been quiet since its arrival, suddenly moved and slammed into a rock wall. Bam! After a loud bang, smoke and dust flew everywhere, and rubble flew in all directions. The rock wall was cracked by the Hong Meng Dao seal, and a ruler surrounded by purple light fell out. This is his pupils constricted. Feng Zichen moved closer to take a closer look. The ruler was less than a foot long, and it was surrounded by Hong Meng Qi. There was a faint purple light, and it carried the aura of the great Tao. Countless runes appeared and disappeared on the ruler's body. In the middle, there were 2 large words written in innate divine script. Heaven measuring. This is the Hong Meng heaven measuring ruler. This treasure was hidden here. The surprise came too suddenly. Feng Zichen felt that his heart was about to jump out of his chest. The Hong Meng heaven measuring ruler was in postnatal merit treasure. It was also known as the best postnatal attack. Together with the heaven-earth mystic yellow pagoda, which was known as the best postnatal defense, they were known as the 2 postnatal merit treasures. Legend had it that after the primordial world was created, the great Tao sensed it and bestowed boundless merit. 30% of the merit went to the 3 pure ones formed by Panga's essence soul, 20% to the 12 ancestral magi formed by Panga's blood essence, and 30% to the 3 heaven-splitting treasures. The remaining 20% and 10% of the heaven-earth mystic yellow pagoda combined with 90% of the heaven-earth mystic yellow pagoda. It was taken away by Taoist Tai Ching and became his accompanying spiritual treasure. The last 10% of the merit combined with the 9 layers of Hong Meng Qi and turned into the postnatal merit treasure, the Hong Meng heaven measuring ruler. Its whereabouts were unknown. He did not expect that this treasure would be hidden in the belly of Mount Bujo. According to Feng Zichen's guess, the Hong Meng heaven measuring ruler should be hidden in the Panga's hall. After all, as the 3 pure ones formed by Panga's essence soul, they had the heaven-earth mystic yellow pagoda as their accompanying spiritual treasure. In order to be fair, the 12 ancestral magi formed by Panga's blood essence should have the Hong Meng heaven measuring ruler as their accompanying spiritual treasure. Now, it seemed that Feng Zichen was wrong. However, it made sense. The Magi already had the Panga's hull and Panga's heart. If they also had the Hongmeng heaven measuring ruler, it would be unfair to the three pure ones. His thoughts were in a mess, but it did not affect Feng Zichen's movements. He quickly reached out and grabbed the Hongmeng heaven measuring ruler. There was no reason not to take the treasure in front of him. However, Feng Zichen was fast, but the Hongmeng Dao seal was faster. When he reached out, the Hongmeng Dao seal completely exploded. Bright purple light was emitted from its body like a purple sun. Then, under Feng Zichen's incredulous gaze, the Hongmeng Dao seal crashed into the Hongmeng heaven measuring ruler. There was no sound of explosion, nor any strange phenomenon. After the Hongmeng Dao seal crashed into the Hongmeng heaven measuring ruler, time seemed to stop for a moment. Then, the Hongmeng heaven measuring ruler silently split into two balls of purple light, one big and one small. The Hongmeng Dao seal turned slightly and rushed toward the big ball of purple light. These two balls of purple light were formed by the origin of the Hongmeng heaven measuring ruler. The big ball of purple light was the Qi of Hongmeng, which was of the same origin as the Hongmeng Dao seal. The Hongmeng Dao seal's attitude was attracted by this item. The small ball of purple light was the merit of creation. This merit was different from the heaven-earth merit. It was given by the great Tao and had nothing to do with the heavenly Tao. Therefore, its color was purple, not gold. Chapter 51. In the cave, the heaven-splitting merit floated in midair and flickered with a gentle purple light. As the purple light circulated, the aura of the great Tao spread everywhere. All the Tao in the world congratulated and rumbled, displaying the aura of the great Tao. Is this the heaven-splitting merit? How fascinating! Feng Zichen's eyes were filled with intoxication as he looked at the heaven-splitting merit that was flowing with purple light. Its beauty could not be described with words. It was the beauty of the great Tao. It was the origin of the great Tao and contained all the secrets of the great Tao. It was a shortcut to the great Tao. The heaven-splitting merit was the #1 treasure of the primordial world. The reason why the three pure ones were the saints of heaven was that the three of them each had 10% of the heaven-splitting merit. Back then, in the Purple Cloud Palace, when the Tao ancestor distributed the positions of saints, he had once said, "The three pure ones have the heaven-splitting merit. As the saints of heaven, they can become saints. Niwa can become a saint if she has great merit in the future. Jie-in and Juan-Ti have some karma with me. They can become saints." If he could not see the importance of the heaven-splitting merit, the importance of the heaven-splitting merit was self-evident when the 6 saints became saints. Let's not talk about Niwa becoming a saint for now. After the 3 pure ones established the sect, they immediately became saints. As for Juan, Ti, and Jie-in, who were also saints, after establishing the sect, they had to make a great wish to the heavenly Tao before they could become saints. What was a great wish? It was like taking a loan from the heavenly Tao. They had to return it. As long as the great wish was not completed, they had to work hard and not slack off. Juan-Ti and Jie-in had made a great wish. When Feng Zichen died in his previous life, there was no sign of it being repaid. It could be seen how difficult it was. The difference between having and not having the heaven-splitting merit was obvious. The demons gathered the destiny of thousands of demons and established the heavenly courts to occupy the destiny of the primordial world. Coupled with the destiny of Zhouxing, how terrifying was the destiny of the 3. After the Magi occupied the primordial world, they did not know how to establish order and manage the primordial world to benefit all living beings. They only cared about their own development and did whatever they wanted. Therefore, endless negative karma gathered and corroded the destiny of the Magi. Even so, the demon clan did not gain the upper hand against the sorcerer clan. Instead, they were suppressed. What was the reason? It was all because the Magi had received Panga's legacy and had 20% of the merit of creation. If someone were to refine this 20% merit of creation, it would be enough to create 2 sages. The shamans did not have primordial spirits, so they could not refine it. Then he fused the 20% of merit into his clan's fate. It was enough to create 2 saints. How enormous was that? He directly made the sorcerer race the strongest race in the untainted land. It was because of this 20% merit of splitting the heavens that the demon race was no match for the sorcerer race. If not for the heavenly Tao secretly supporting the demons and suppressing the magi, the demon clan had long been exterminated by the sorcerer clan. Now, the merit of creation in front of Feng Zichen was 10% of the merit of creation, which was enough to help a person become a saint. With such a precious treasure in front of them, who wouldn't be greedy? Not even a saint could do that. As for Feng Zichen, that was even more impossible. Unable to suppress the excitement in his heart, Feng Zichen stretched out his trembling hand and grabbed the merit of creation. Before Feng Zichen could touch the merit of creation flew over and landed in his sea of consciousness as if it had guessed his thoughts. In an instant, a bright light illuminated Feng Zichen's sea of consciousness. An endless comprehension of the great Tao floated in his mind. It allowed him, who had just broken through to the perfected mystic immortal realm, to take another step forward and reach the golden immortal realm. He only needed to wait for his true spirit to recover before he could complete his breakthrough. However, the joy on Feng Zichen's face did not last long. In just a moment, his expression turned ugly. After the merit of creation entered his sea of consciousness, it did not fuse with his primordial spirit. Instead, it floated in the middle of his sea of consciousness and gradually fell silent. What's going on? Why can't I refine the merit of creation? Just as Feng Zichen was puzzled, a majestic and sacred aura appeared and sent him a message. It was Panga's aura. The merit of creation belongs to someone else. Borrow my hand to bring the merit of creation out of this place and into the hands of the destined person? From the message sent by Pangu, Feng Zichen knew why he could not refine the merit of creation. It was prepared by Pangu for someone else. However, although he could not refine the merit of creation was stored in his sea of consciousness and could also assist Feng Zichen in his cultivation. Of course, the most important thing was that as long as Feng Zichen handed over the merit of creation to the destined person, his sin of breaking the Hongming's heaven-measuring ruler could be written off. The Hongming's heaven-measuring ruler was an acquired merit treasure with boundless merit. How could it be broken so easily? Feng Zichen was fine now because he was in the belly of Mount Buzhou, which could isolate the power of the way of heaven. Outside Mount Buzhou, there was a monstrous amount of negative karma gathering, waiting for Feng Zichen to come out so that the heavenly punishment could kill him and completely remove him from the primordial world. Now, Panga promised that as long as he handed over the merit of creation to the destined person, he could be forgiven. Although he would lose the merit of creation, he would save his life. Of course, it was worth it. After all, no matter how good the treasure was, it was not as important as his life. As for how to find the destined person, Feng Zichen was not worried at all. Even if the destined person would appear in front of him when the time was right, there was no need to look for him. Otherwise, he would need to search all over the primordial world. How could he be considered the destined person? Clang! The melodious sound of the bell rang, like the first cry of the great Tao. It rippled and attracted Feng Zichen's attention. Where the Hongmeng Qi was, the Hongmeng Dao seal's figure had completely disappeared, leaving only a purple Dao bell that was bobbing up and down. The bell just now was from it. Seeing this, Feng Zichen was shocked. He hurriedly communicated with the Hongmeng Dao seal and heaved a sigh of relief when he found that the connection was still there. The Hongmeng Dao seal was his most precious treasure. It was of great help to him and had once guided him onto the path of Tao. He could not lose it. With a wave of his hand, the purple Tao bell flew over and landed in Feng Zichen's hand without any resistance. This bell was called Hongmeng Daozhong. It was formed by the Hongmeng Dao seal devouring the Hongmeng Qi. It could shatter the vacuum and destroy all Dharma. It was extremely powerful. Unfortunately, the Hongmeng heaven measuring ruler only contained 90% of the Hongmeng Qi. It could not transform the Hongmeng Dao seal into a connate cardinal treasure. It could only transform into a supreme grade numinous treasure with 45 connate divine restrictions. Although there was only one connate divine restriction missing, it was the difference between a numinous treasure and a cardinal treasure. One's power was in the sky while the other was on the ground. They could not be compared. The remaining 10% of the Hongmeng Qi has already scattered into the primordial world. It can't be found. Otherwise, you would have been able to advance to a connate cardinal treasure. Feng Zichen played with the Hongmeng Daozhong and said to it. He had just said it casually. He did not expect the Hongmeng Daozhong to answer. However, he did not expect the Hongmeng Daozhong to flash slightly and send him a message. The connate 5 cosmos Qi. Feng Zichen frowned. This was the news that the Hongmeng Daozhong had sent him. After devouring the connate 5 cosmos Qi, it could advance to a connate cardinal treasure. However, where could he find the connate 5 cosmos Qi? Chapter 52. The connate 5 manifestations were the 5 stages before Wuji transitioned to the birth of heaven and earth. Grand simplicity, grand primordium, grand beginning, grand simplicity and Taiji. Grand simplicity, the origin of nothingness, the beginning of God without seeing Qi. Grand primordium, formless and without substance, the beginning of Qi without seeing form. Grand primordium, formless and without substance, the beginning of form without substance. Grand simplicity, formless and without substance, the beginning of substance without form. Taiji, the birth of yin and yang, the 5 elements and all living things. The connate 5 manifestations were formed from the essence that dissipated during the evolution of the 5 manifestations. They shared the same root as the Hongmeng Qi. Devouring them would naturally allow the Hongmeng Daozhong to advance to a connate cardinal treasure. However, although Feng Zichen knew the origin of the connate 5 manifestations, he did not know where it was. Such a treasure had the ability to conceal itself from the heavenly secrets. No one would be able to calculate its location unless it was born. Forget it. If it's fated with me, I'll find it. It's not fated with me. I can't force it. After thinking about it, Feng Zichen really could not think of where the connate 5 manifestations was. He threw it to the back of his mind. He continued to sit cross-legged and prepared to undo the seal on his true spirit and advance to the golden immortal realm. Boom! The mighty power of the true spirit descended from the heavenly Tao space and chased his connate essence spirit to a corner of the Emperor Star Palace, regaining control of his body. In his sea of consciousness, the connate 8 trigrams, Mount Buzhou's Tao runes, the heaven-splitting Tao intent. Over the years, Feng Zichen had comprehended all sorts of great Tao true intents that appeared and surged towards his true spirit. It helped him sublimate and transform. After engraving the various great Tao true intents on his true spirit rose into the sky and landed in the 18th level of the heavenly Tao space, fusing with the golden immortal Tao fruit. The light of the great Tao flickered on his true spirit. An aura of immortality condensed on his true spirit, and a sturdy aura emanated from it. A speck of golden light rose from his true spirit. It was dazzling and illuminated the surroundings. This was the immortal Tao light, the symbol of the immortal true spirit, the symbol of a golden immortal. At that moment, Feng Zichen had officially stepped into the golden immortal realm. The golden immortal was a new chapter of the great Tao. After stepping into the golden immortal realm, one's true spirit would exist eternally and eternally in the world. With the same lifespan as heaven and earth, he would be immortal and would no longer have to worry about sickness and death. At the same time, when they sensed that Feng Zichin had advanced into the golden immortal realm, an unexpected change occurred in the boundless starry sky. Star sources quietly left Zhouxing's core and poured into the Emperor Star's core. It fused with the origin of the Emperor Star and turned into a purple Tao fetus. Above the embryo, the sun, the moon, and the stars rotated. Countless runes danced, and the great Tao of stars circled around him. This was the Tao embryo of stars, the Tao embryo that gave birth to the Lord of Stars. As soon as the star embryo of Tao was formed, Feng Zichin felt a guiding force coming from the Emperor Star. It crossed layers of space and tried to pull his true spirit into it. Fortunately, this force was not strong. Feng Zichin struggled lightly and broke free. However, as he struggled free, the purple star suddenly transmitted an angry emotion, transmitting a message to him, and then withdrew the purple star 3 treasures projection. This, after browsing the message in his mind, Feng Zichin smiled bitterly. Time and time again he had rejected the Emperor Star's guidance and completely angered it, so it withdrew the purple star 3 treasures projection. It also warned Feng Zichin that if there was a next time, he would never be able to get the blessing of the Emperor Star. After Tai Jingxian, must I ascend to the Emperor Star? How could Feng Zichin have the chance to think about it? He could only make plans in advance to avoid being in a mess. Fortunately, even if he was in the core of the Emperor Star, his true spirit could still control his body with the help of the heavenly Tao space. It was not unacceptable. After thinking about the future, Feng Zichin withdrew his thoughts and calmed down to comprehend the great Tao and organize what he had obtained recently. After coming to the heavenly court, he had obtained many opportunities and his realm had advanced by leaps and bounds. In just over 1,000 years, he had advanced from the mid-stage of mystic immortal to the early stage of golden immortal. It was time to settle down to prevent his realm from being unstable. Years did not matter in the untainted land. When Feng Zichin woke up again, 1,000 years had passed. Standing up, Feng Zichin first bowed 3 times to the void to show his gratitude to Pangu. Only then did he turn around and walk out. Regardless of whether Pangu was dead or not, he should pay his respects to him since he had obtained so many benefits here. As soon as he stepped out of the cave, Feng Zichin saw the sky full of innate, baleful aura rushing towards him. He was so scared that he quickly raised the Hongmeng Daozhong to protect himself. Clang! Clang! The Hongmeng Daozhong floated above Feng Zichin's head, and wisps of Hongmeng Qi hung down and scattered in all directions, wiping out all the innate, baleful aura. Hiss! Where did so much innate, baleful aura come from? After the innate, baleful aura disappeared, the situation in front of Feng Zichin was exposed, and he couldn't help but take a breath of cold air. A river completely composed of innate, baleful aura gushed out from the bottom of Mount Buzhou and flowed out slowly. This baleful aura was different from what Feng Zichin had seen before, and there were wisps of chaotic aura mixed in it. It was similar to the baleful aura emitted by the chaos demon god in his memory. What's under Mount Buzhou? Why is there so much baleful aura gushing out? Even Daluo Jingxian would lose half his life if he fell into this river of baleful aura. If it came out, no one could resist Daluo Jingxian, and they would all be turned into ferocious beasts. Could it be there's a chaos demon god under Mount Buzhou? A bold guess appeared in Feng Zichin's mind, and his heart beat a little faster. When Pangu opened the sky and proved his Tao, 3,000 demon gods came to stop him and were killed by him one by one. However, were those chaos demon gods really dead? Feng Zichin didn't know what realm the chaos demon god was in, but he knew that even Daluo Jingxian had to be careful when he stepped into the land of chaos in the sky beyond heaven. And the great chaos outside the world, where the chaos demon god lived, was countless times more terrifying than the land of chaos in the sky beyond heaven. The chaos demon gods that could survive there, even if they were just born, had at least the strength of an ordinary Daluo Jinxian. Otherwise, they would definitely not be able to survive in the great chaos outside the world. Such a great existence, formed by the origin of the great Tao, had strength far beyond Daluo Jinxian. Even if they couldn't defeat Pangu, they wouldn't die easily. At the very least, the image of the chaos demon god existed in Feng Zichen's memory. That meant that the chaos demon god wasn't dead. If he wanted such an existence to completely disappear, he had to start from the source, eliminate all traces of its existence, and erase the concept of its existence. Let all living beings not think about it. Otherwise, even Daluo Jinxian could revive by relying on the thoughts of all living beings, let alone the chaos demon god. But now, in the primordial world, the existence of the chaos demon god was clearly visible, which meant that they hadn't died. But they hadn't revived, which meant that the chaos demon god was in a sealed state. In the primordial world, the only one who could seal them was Pangu, and this was Mount Buzhou. Thinking of this, Feng Zichen threw out the chaos bead. His figure flashed, and he entered it, falling toward the river of evil aura below. Chapter 53. The chaos bead was a treasure of the chaos in the past. It could even suppress the great chaos. Even though it was not as powerful as before, it could not be destroyed by a mere river of evil aura. On the river of evil aura, Feng Zichen drove the chaos bead upstream toward the source of the river of evil aura, intending to explore the secret under Mount Buzhou. Whether or not there was a chaos fiend celestial under Mount Buzhou was only Feng Zichen's guess and had not been confirmed. Perhaps he had guessed wrongly, and there was something else under Mount Buzhou. The deeper he went, the darker the space around him became. In the end, there was nothing in Feng Zichen's eyes but endless darkness. I hate it. I hate it so much. Pangu, you deserve to die. After an unknown period of time, a sound came from the darkness. The sound was like the sound of the great Tao. It was ancient and mysterious, but it also carried endless resentment. In Feng Zichen's ears, it almost made him lose his mind and reason. Fortunately, the chaos bead emitted a black light that isolated these sounds, allowing him to regain his senses. There really is a chaos fiend celestial under Mount Buzhou. After recognizing the meaning of these sounds, Feng Zichen was extremely shocked. No wonder there was a river of evil aura flowing out from under Mount Buzhou. With these chaos fiend celestials constantly releasing evil aura, it was not surprising that there was so much evil aura. As he continued forward, light gradually appeared, driving away the nearby darkness and illuminating Feng Zichen's vision. The huge abyss was filled with pitch-black viscous liquid. One after another, balls of light rose from the liquid and flew upward. However, they were bounced back by a huge light screen in the air and fell back into the abyss. Is this the true spirit of a chaos fiend celestial? Feng Zichen thought as he sensed the aura of the great Tao on the balls of light that was completely different from that of the primitive world. After walking for a while, a huge light screen appeared and blocked Feng Zichen, preventing him from going any further. Panga's aura! The aura coming from the light screen was exactly the same as Panga's. This was the seal that Pangu had set up to suppress the chaos demonic gods. Feng Zichen silently took a few steps back, keeping himself away from the barrier so that he wouldn't be accidentally injured by it. After the light screen sensed his retreat, it slowly disappeared. After confirming the safe distance, Feng Zichen stuck his head out and looked at the sealed chaos demonic god. As chaos fiend gods transformed from the origin of the great Tao, they were carriers of the great Tao, and their every move contained the true meaning of the great Tao. Observing them was no less than facing the great Tao directly. It could be called a heaven-shaking opportunity. With Feng Zichen's current realm, he was unable to withstand the Chaos Fian Celestial's Dao runes. However, he could use the Hongmeng Daozhong to record the Daoist rhyme for future study. Clang, clang, clang. The Hongmeng Daozhong floated in the air, branding the Chaos Fian Celestial's figures one by one. Every time a Chaos Fian Celestial's figure was branded, there would be a melodious bell sound. It was very happy. During this time, Feng Zichen used the power of the Hongmeng Daozhong to isolate his perception of the Great Tao and looked at the sealed Chaos Fian Celestial's true spirits. Those Chaos Fian Celestial's true spirits were all wrapped in Great Tao runes, making it impossible to see their faces clearly. One could only see a ball of bright light. If it were any other time, Feng Zichen would probably fall into enlightenment and die when he saw these Great Tao runes. But now he was isolated from the Great Tao. He only felt that those runes were obscure and difficult to understand, and he would feel dizzy just by looking at them, not to mention falling into enlightenment. Those Chaos Fiend Celestials were unwilling to be trapped here, so they charged at the seal one after another, intending to break the seal and return to the world. However, the seal set by Pangu was so powerful that those Chaos Fiend Celestials that charged at the seal were knocked into the abyss one after another, unable to float up for a long time. They couldn't do anything to the seal at all. No, it wasn't completely useless. Under Feng Zichen's continuous observation, he discovered that every time a Chaos Fiend Celestial hit the seal, there would be a moment of loosening. Although this period of time was very short and the seal was immediately restored, the Chaos Fiend Celestial couldn't take the opportunity to escape. However, there was still a wisp of Chaos Fiendish Qi that leaked out. This wisp of Chaos Fiendish Qi disintegrated in midair, and a small portion leaked out, turning into Khanate Fiendish Qi. This was the source of the river of Fiendish Qi. Most of it fused into Mount Buzhou, constantly eroding Mount Buzhou, and was destroyed by Panga's pressure. This was the main reason why Panga's pressure was getting thinner day by day. The Chaos Fiend Celestial hit the barrier day after day, and every time, a wisp of Chaos Fiendish Qi leaked out, which was destroyed by Panga's pressure. However, the world had been opened for so long, and Panga's pressure was being consumed by the Chaos Fiendish Qi day and night without being replenished. So wouldn't it be getting thinner day by day? According to Feng Zichen's calculation, even if Gong Gong didn't hit Mount Buzhou, one day in the future, Mount Buzhou would collapse under the erosion of the Chaos Fiend Celestial. Suddenly, Feng Zichen's pupil shrank, and he said in shock, "What's that?" In the abyss, a wisp of green light appeared, bobbing up and down in the pitch-black liquid, resisting the erosion of the fiendish Qi with difficulty. What a treasure! Unfortunately, it's useless now. Feng Zichen shook his head regretfully. The liquid in the abyss was formed by the Chaos Fiend Celestial's fiendish Qi. It could even erode Panga's pressure, which showed its power. This treasure couldn't be replenished after falling into it. Even if it could barely resist it now, how long could it last? Sooner or later, it would be destroyed by the fiendish Qi. Just when Feng Zichen was feeling sorry for the treasure, a ray of light suddenly burst out from the boundary, scooping up the treasure and handing it to him. Looking at the treasure emitting green light in front of him, Feng Zichen didn't feel happy at all. Instead, he was a little scared. What was the purpose of sending a treasure to him for no apparent reason? Moreover, he had gained so many benefits recently that he was a little scared. First, he got the primordial star tree. Then he found the Hongmeng heaven-measuring ruler. Obtaining any one of these items could be explained by luck. However, he got both of them at the same time, which couldn't be explained by luck. At first, he was blinded by the treasures and didn't think carefully. He thought that he got the treasures by chance. After all, the primordial star tree was related to the Tao of Stars, and the Hongmeng Dao seal was attracted by the Qi of Hongmeng. It was reasonable for him to get both of them. However, after thinking about it carefully, Feng Zichen broke out in a cold sweat. Both of them were supreme treasures of heaven and earth. It was already a blessing to get one of them. How could he have both of them at the same time? The primordial star tree was normal. The Hongmeng heaven-measuring ruler was hidden in the belly of Mount Buzhou. How could it be sensed by the Hongmeng Dao seal? It was obvious that someone deliberately released the aura of the Hongmeng Qi to lure him to the belly of Mount Buzhou. What happened later also proved this point. Pangu wanted to use him to hand over the heaven-splitting merit to someone. Although it was a little troublesome, Feng Zichen felt that it was worth it to erase the karma of destroying the Hongmeng heaven-measuring ruler. However, what was with the treasure in front of him? Chapter 54. Looking at the treasure in front of him, Feng Zichen hesitated for a moment. There was no love for no reason in this world. If he took this item, it would be another karma. He did not know how he would repay it in the future. He could not take this item. Seeing that Feng Zichen was indifferent, the treasure leaned in front of him. It seemed to be impatient and wanted to fall into his hands. Seeing this, Feng Zichen gritted his teeth and took the treasure. As the saying goes, if you don't take it, you will be punished. Now that Pangu had given this item to him, it was because he thought highly of Feng Zichen. It was better if he did not know how to appreciate favors. An existence like Pangu should be very broad-minded and would not care about his rejection. But what if? What if he cared? Offending Pangu in the primordial world was chilling. Therefore, Feng Zichen did not dare to take the risk, no matter how small the chances were. He could only accept Pangu's gift obediently and bear the karma that he deserved. The treasure fell into his hand and turned into a green seed. In the hazy green light, the great Tao runes were faintly discernible. It was very magical, the seed of the world tree. After knowing the origin of this item, Feng Zichen almost exploded on the spot. The world tree, the chaos spirit root, was even stronger than the connate spirit root. In the primordial world, only the 3 heaven-opening treasures could be compared to it. Feng Zichen was not surprised that such a treasure was in his hands, but shocked and terrified. The sun star shone on the world and brought endless light to the primordial world. It was beneficial to all living beings and had boundless merit. Therefore, the Eastern Emperor Tai was accompanied by the Bell of Chaos. The 3 pure ones were formed by Panga's primordial spirit. They had heaven-opening merit and boundless merit. Therefore, they had been bestowed with connate treasures by the Tao ancestor. Although Feng Zichen had some merit, he was far inferior to the first 4. He did not have such a strong blessing to bear the treasure. If one's virtue did not match his position, there would be disaster. How could Feng Zichen not be afraid? Gu. Feng Zichen swallowed his saliva and said with a trembling voice, "This can I refuse?" No one replied. There was only a flash of light that transmitted the cause and effect of this matter into his mind. Is it because of the chaos bead? Feng Zichen was a little depressed. As expected, those treasures were not so easy to obtain. One ring after another. It turned out that Pangu had predicted that Mount Buzhou would collapse and had deliberately left the world tree behind, to replace Mount Buzhou as the pillar that supported the heavens. Unfortunately, the chaos demonic Celestial found out about this. He did everything he could to pull the Tree of World into the seal, intending to destroy it and ruin Panga's plan. Therefore, the world tree did not show any signs of growth since the creation of the world. Instead, it had degenerated into a seed. According to the course of history, this seed should have been destroyed by now. This was because the world tree did not appear when Mount Buzhou collapsed in the future. But now, as Feng Zichen came here with the chaos bead, everything changed. As the chaos spirit root, the world tree could only germinate in a chaotic environment. and the chaos bead contained a chaotic space. It was the only treasure in the world that could make the world tree seed germinate. Therefore, when he sensed the aura of the chaos bead, Pengu gave the world tree seed to Feng Zichen and asked him to cultivate the world tree so that it could be used to support the heavens in the future. Great God Pengu is really worried about the primordial world, but the descendants are not helpful and always drag you down. Holding the world tree seed, Feng Zichen was filled with emotions. According to Pengu's prediction, Mount Buzhou collapsed under the erosion of the chaos fiend god. In reality, Mount Buzhou was broken by Gong. Cultivate the world tree and the karma will disappear. You can obtain endless merit and enjoy endless luck. This was the message that Pengu passed to Feng Zichen in his last will. He painted a big picture for him so that he could cultivate the world tree with peace of mind. Feng Zichen could only laugh at this. The three pure ones were about to become saints. It would not be long before the great Magi Demon War and Mount Buzhou collapsed. In such a short period of time, it was not difficult to cultivate the world tree to the extent that it could support the primordial world. However, in order to cultivate the world tree better, the chaos bead's current level was not enough. In other words, with the world tree, Feng Zichen's search for the chaos bead fragments in the future would definitely be much smoother. But at the same time, he would obtain so many benefits. When Mount Buzhou collapsed, the world tree would not be able to support the heavens and earth. Feng Zichen would definitely be doomed. Sigh. Fortune lies in misfortune, and misfortune lies in fortune. What a wise saying! The myriad of thoughts turned into a sigh. Feng Zichen came back to his senses and placed the world tree seed into the chaos bead. He planned to use the chaos origin to make it take root and sprout. As long as the world tree could grow, the rest would be much easier. The world tree itself had the power to open up a world. Its roots could connect to endless dimensions and absorb nutrients to strengthen itself. Only such a spirit root could support the primordial world. In the chaos bead, wisps of chaos origin chi gathered and surged toward the world tree seed. Sigh. Pity my chaos bead. Looking at the chaos bead that instantly dimmed, Feng Zichen was filled with heartache. The chaos origin chi born in the chaos bead had long been used up by him. Now, the chaos origin chi was forcefully condensed by him at the cost of the chaos bead. Buzz! After absorbing the chaos origin chi, the world tree seed trembled. The light on its body flickered and emitted a rich vitality. Suddenly, a trace of black light with a dense murderous aura appeared on the world tree seed. It devoured all the vitality on its body and calmed it down. Humph! I knew it would not be so simple. Seeing this, Feng Zichen was not surprised. If the world tree seed could germinate so easily, it would not be worthy of the benefits that Pengu had promised him. The resentment of the chaos demon god. Looking carefully at the black light, Feng Zichen recognized the origin of this item. The world tree had struggled in the abyss for so long. It was normal for it to be tainted with the resentment of the chaos demon god. Now it seemed that, in order for the seed to germinate, the only way was to eradicate the resentment of the chaos demon god. Otherwise, no amount of vitality would be enough for it to devour. This is troublesome. Feng Zichen frowned. Eradicating the resentment of the chaos demon god was not difficult for him. As long as he used Hongmeng Daozhong on the world tree seed for a few hundred years, he could turn the resentment of the chaos demon god into Hongmeng Qi. However, if the resentment was combined with the seed, he could turn the seed into Hongmeng Qi while eradicating the resentment. Then it would all be over. As if sensing Feng Zichen's distress, a message appeared in his mind. Thunder Lock! Bringing the world tree seed here can erase the resentment of the chaos demon god. Thunder was indeed the nemesis of dark things like resentment. Thinking of this, Feng Zichen seemed to understand Pengu's plan. Using the power of thunder accumulated in the Thunder Lock to erase the resentment of the Chaos Demon God was a good idea. After knowing the destination, Foam Zeechin did not stay any longer. He turned and walked out. He did not dare to be curious anymore. You're tuning in to the Thunder Spear YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.